Hey there, everybody. Today we're celebrating the Kickstarter launch of Hellslayers, a sci-fi survival horror RPG that will push the boundaries of your courage and determination. But what makes this day truly special is that we're not just delving into the world of Hellslayers. We're joined here by the very creator himself, Clifton Lambert. Many of you know Cliff from his work in the shadowy alleys of Shadowrun, or as the host of the Arcology podcast. Today we have the privilege of delving into the dark corners of his creative mind, where the inspiration for Hellslayers was born. So, gather your courage and prepare to confront the horrors that lurk in the shadows as we step into the realms of Hellslayers with the one and only Cliff. And of course, down in chat, we're going to be able to find the link to the Kickstarter. And everyone should head over there, give it a little check out, and we can get right into it. Cliff?
Hello. Good morning, and wow, it's finally here, the launch day for Hellslayers. It's been a long time in the planning. It feels strange to be the morning of. Just a little over 10 minutes, we'll hit that button and launch the campaign.
Oh yeah, no, I can absolutely not wait. I've been working with a little bit of the graphical side. I still haven't been able to play, but looking at that art is just amazing. Or being able to work with, something as dark and hellish like this.
Yeah, well, the stream we did on Gen Con TV this last week definitely highlighted that. I've never seen Hellslayers chew through player characters so quickly as on that night.
They just kept on throwing brutes in there. Just right into the fodder.
And we're also joined here by Frank, who's in the original Hellslayers actual play that we launched back around the beginning of the summer, I think. We played through a full, shorter style campaign, all the way through the first promotion. Not through the end of the world, because that would take a while. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the first campaign was a ton of fun. Found a whole lot of crowbars, and almost died. Almost. I think, was it twice? Twice my character almost died?
I think we had to use the trauma nanites once.
Yeah, we definitely did. It was a fun campaign.
I think that crosses the threshold from almost to actually dying, but then being brought back to life.
That's fair. Yeah, it's for what it's worth, kids, never charge into a room full of shotguns with a melee weapon. Bad idea.
It is weird to hear the phrase "almost died" whenever you're talking about Hellslayers.
Oddly enough, I kind of designed it, just as Morkborg is kind of a meat grinder for player characters. You don't expect any character to survive any given session in Morkborg. So I've kind of carried that attitude to Hellslayers, but generally speaking, most of the times I've played it, the player characters are lucky enough, or they find some loot, or maybe the dice are on their side well enough to where they're on the edge, but nobody kicks the bucket. But gosh, last Thursday it was first room I think claimed at least 4 Hellslayers.
Oh, easily. I thought about starting up that death count just above their heads, just to really let them know where they're at. I think it was like 7-8 times in total.
Yeah, I think it was 7 total deaths maybe, and it would have been more if we hadn't aborted the mission, I think, at the end of the stream. Because in that case they're going up against space Nazis. Space Nazis have a little bit of armor, not a lot in most circumstances, but if you never get around to using something heavier than a pistol, -3, -4 armor against something that does a maximum of D6 +1 damage, it's going to bounce a lot of those bullets off.
Should have
They did
grabbed
get a rocket launcher and a few rockets. They put them to very good use in one room. That was sort of their shining moment. And they're like, let's go over the objective room. We're awesome, and out of rockets. And
It's crazy how they went back to back, hitting all of the most dangerous rooms.
right. On the armory part was honestly it was kind of hilarious because it was it kept going back into the same room. It started with an ambush, and then each time if you leave enemies in a room and come back later, they're going to ambush you again because they're ready for you. It's not like they're going to be surprised or something. So each time they'd go in and someone would get killed, and they'd chip away one enemy off the group, and it took a while.
2 Hellslayers working on an operation is definitely a battle of attrition.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You get just a little taste of the meat grinder, you know?
But absolutely worth it.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
No, all good. Well, for anyone who didn't catch the interview over on Gen Con TV, we did have a few interview questions to kind of let people know like who they're getting in with. You know, no Cliff, just a little bit more.
Well, I think Patrick jumped the gun on your questions here by launching one of his own, asking, when does the Kickstarter launch? In 7 minutes. Oh, you answered it in the chat, but I figured I'd answer it verbally as well on the stream because.
No, absolutely fair. I mean, absolutely fair question. We'll be able to track and see where it's at, and for anyone who is considering getting some of the, well, I won't talk about the rewards just yet. Let's just ask Cliff, what's your favorite gaming memory or experience from your history as a gamer?
Oh, that's I think it has to be at one of it was my first Gen Con. It was back in Milwaukee, and it was really early into my role playing career is the right word. At the time, it was just a
I
game.
call it a career.
Yeah, I'd played a little Shadowrun. Hadn't really been playing for many years yet, but I signed up for this game that was being run. It was by one of the people who worked for Iron Crown Enterprises, which is a game company that has Rollmaster and classic Middle-earth role-playing game, MERP as we used to call it. And this is a Middle-earth campaign where you're a bunch of dwarves going basically on a multi-session adventure to go take on the dragon that took over our homeland, our keep, and now lives there and sits on our treasure. And it was a whole big thing where it went through it was almost like the Hobbit, but it was all dwarves. We went through Mirkwood and fought orcs, and eventually got to the place where the dragon was, and didn't have a great plan. My character was aware of there were some really powerful ballista that were designed to shoot down dragons if they attacked like a frontal assault or something. So I carried these giant crossbow bolts with me throughout the entire adventure, and the off chance I would get to use them. When we get to the dwarven city, which is where currently the dragon's lair. Our plan was, all right, I'm going to go up to the front of this thing where the dragon isn't, but just in case if we can, if the dragon comes out, I'll be ready to use this giant crossbow. And the other dwarves are going to sneak down. Some of the other dwarves are going to sneak down into the lair and steal some cool items that were designed for fighting dragons, so we'll have a chance. Well, dragon woke up, chased them through the mountain, came out to start burning everything outside, and I was there with my giant crossbow, my ballista, and the dragon turned to look into the window where I was, not knowing that I was there with a giant loaded crossbow, and I shot the dragon in the eye. And it was, these dragons in Middle-earth, they're not like dragons in D&D, where an adventuring party can go out and expect to occasionally kill a dragon. This was a dragon that was, it was a giant crossbow, and I shot the dragon in the eye. And it was, these dragons in Middle-earth, they're not like dragons in D&D, where an adventuring party can go out and expect to occasionally kill a dragon. No, they're pretty much all godlike, almost unkillable things. All this thing needed to do was close his eyelid to survive. But I rolled and I rolled high enough to hit and get a crit. And then there's like in that game there's like a crit table where different things happen. Like maybe you give them a little bit extra damage, or you might kill them outright. And the nastiest thing you could roll on that table is the number 66 because that's always a kill shot. And that's it was like people around the table like super tense, like all or nothing. We are going to die if this doesn't work. And I rolled a natural 20, but it was like on a scale of 1 to 100, not 1 to 20. It was just so cool. I still remember my character's official introduction for that game. We learned Dwarven etiquette and how we introduce ourselves, and it was just a really, really flavorful, lore-filled game. The guy brought along a boombox and had some epic soundtrack stuff going on. It really made a huge impression on me as a player and a game master. And yeah, making that killing shot for the dragon, I can say, I am Duri, son of Muri, brother of Nuri, seer and slayer of the dragon, Scorba the Besieger. So, I hope you weren't expecting a short answer to that question.
No. That is fantastic. I haven't really messed around. I'm definitely more used to the type of dragon where it's like, oh, this is obviously huge, massive, like could take you out if you play your cards wrong. But it's also in those campaigns where you have your classic like, can I roll to seduce the dragon type of stuff, which it definitely more of I've been in a couple of more serious campaigns where you come across a dragon and it can it's just avoiding them as much as possible. You don't really get to see any of their wonder, but they're definitely not like godly creatures. They're like they're very greedy. They're just huge hoarders, effectively. That can take you out with a breath, but
by no means. Alex in the chat there. Welcome, Alex. Good to see you.
Oh,
yeah, that was a really fun moment. That it was like 3 sessions too, 3 4-hour sessions for the game. So you were like committing for 12 hours of your Gen Con for this. And the first 2 sessions, he had 2 separate groups that were of dwarves that were coming from different sides, and then for the third final one, we had this giant combined group of dwarves, like a dozen or more players. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, I love that so much.
I think it's launch time, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be right about. Let me see if I can't get that. Oh, not quite yet.
Not my first Kickstarter campaign, but it's the first one that's like a game pretty much entirely made by me. Well, I'm using a base rule system, but I guess Misspent News was kind of like that too. That because I'm using some of this pre-existing and doing my own take on it. So I guess it's not a good comparison.
Still, being able to expand upon it like that is insane. I don't know very much about the original system myself, but from watching y'all play Hellslayers, it's fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it's a really really fun system. I like their kind of tagline for it: rules light but heavy on everything else. It does a really good job of sort of giving that sort of fun, dangerous OSR style gaming, classic gaming feel, but also without having a bunch of rules that you have to dig through and reference. It plays very quickly.
There's nothing that really crunches up a game more than specifically having to pull out the textbook and.
Yeah, I play Shadowrun, where I love that game. Sometimes I don't love it as much when we're like 40 minutes into resolving our first combat round.
Oh, and sorry to interrupt. We just went live.
Woohoo! Kickstarter campaign is live. Please go back it.
Yeah, everybody go see it. Link in the chat, I assure you. Perfect. Now it's up.
Nice. Well, thanks for being with me here for this, because yeah, me by myself on screen during the launch stream is not as much fun.
Oh, what are you talking about? We are figments of your imagination. Me and Frank don't actually exist.
No,
honestly, I don't know how I would tell the difference otherwise if it were the case. So I only have my own sensory input to gauge things by, and who knows if how reliable that is. It seems to have some continuity to me, but
no, I saw a therapist. I am a simulation. I'm diagnosed. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Thing is, like, you have to. The only way you know that is by your therapist telling you, and the only way you can perceive that is through your senses. So, they might be the actual simulation and trying to trick you into thinking you're the simulation. But it really doesn't matter if you're the simulation, though, and I'm just hallucinating all of this. I think it does matter somewhat. It matters to me, at least, how things go. So.
I mean, if you are hallucinating all of this, at least it's, a reasonably fun hallucination.
Yeah, it looks like we got our first couple of backers.
Oh, fantastic.
My wife is the budget person for our house, so I need to ask her before I back it.
Understood.
I'll be backing later today.
Yep, we got our first couple of backers, $40 in towards our $5,000 goal.
And already going up. I was about to say, don't speak too quick.
Yeah, hopefully we see that number jumping a bunch. $5,000, like it can kind of be a lower Kickstarter goal for some things, but it also seems like a big number to me as well. So,
no, it is huge. Just crossing that mark, it is. You almost get just addicted to hitting that 100%, and anything past that is like,
ooh. Somebody just bought one of the bigger tier things. I think we just jumped a bunch.
Ooh. Here, let me I think this is the correct screen.
Yeah,
I got
it's
about
nice to see those
1,000
numbers
windows.
go up, but it's also like, it's your baby you're putting out there in the world. The Kickstarter campaign is launching. You don't know how things are going to play out yet. It's I think I'm more nervous than anything else.
I mean, that's a fair thing to be. This is kind of a big deal.
Well, it's also been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has. I've been working on this for, gosh, I think I started working on it before the pandemic hit. It's gone through a number of different versions over that time, and yeah, starting the Kickstarter planning alone was, I want to say, almost 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half. Like there's been personnel changeovers in REM since it began. So yeah, I just want to do a shout out to Ava Rogers, who got things started with this, put together the main graphic that you're seeing, and a lot of the early, did a lot of the earlier groundwork on getting the Kickstarter going.
Dude, Ava's a boss. She's
absolutely.
Right, yeah. There you go.
Yep. So yeah, definitely thank you to her for getting that rolling, and then to Bree, who's sort of stepped in to take over.
Picked it up and kept that ball rolling.
Yep. And then Tyler here has been helping out with the tech and the launch events, and Frank, who played the game with me for an actual play back in June and has been an advocate for Hellslayers ever since.
I'm now DMing 2 of my own games with it, and it is... I have to say, a lot of the reason this is the only game that I'm GMing is that GMing is complicated and it's difficult and it requires a lot of planning and a lot of setup, and it's just it's a second job in and of itself. GMing is not easy, but with Hellslayers, I was literally able to just pick up and go. It was like, hey, you're fighting space Nazis, go. It was great. So yeah, it's a fantastic game. It's so much fun.
Killian saying, didn't think that they made first, probably second though, and was waiting to jump on that with Alex. So appreciate you both. We're up to $1,000 now, 20% of the way there. A little, only 5 minutes into the Kickstarter or so. So that's exciting to see. Got our first 12 backers.
I mean,
but yeah, Hellslayers. I originally designed it. The very first iteration of Hellslayers, when I conceived it, was going to be a GM-less system.
Wow. It's very close to it, man. It really is.
It could probably run GM-less with a little bit of tweaking and adjustment from the players, but yeah, other than that, I really enjoy writing games that are very low to no prep, because there's lots of games that are high prep, and I like those too, but I like making role-playing games as accessible to new players as possible. I think at heart, I'm partly like an education person. I have a master's degree in education.
You do?
That I don't really. I don't. It's not really any good to me without another master's degree in something else. I can't get a job with it or anything, which I was a bit dismayed to find out. So, generally speaking, my degrees are ultimately just have not been successful in the careers they've been intended for. But that's just how,
I'm so sorry.
How it goes with college for a lot of people. When early on you hear all your life, just go get a degree and you'll have a career. Just make sure you go to college and get a degree, because that's the key that unlocks your future. And
you've got to love that mindset.
My wife has an English degree and she works in fraud, so
Yeah. So I have a bachelor degree in music and recording. That's focused on music business and recording technology, and closest I came to using that is putting up songs here and there. I guess the way I got involved with Rem Alternus was doing the music for the Chicago Shadows trailer. But I learned a lot of cool stuff. But I got a job at Guitar Center, partly to satisfy my internship and to make some money in the process. But I definitely didn't need a degree for that job. And the education, master's in education, I went after. Honestly, partly because I was just afraid of the student loan stuff starting to come due, and so I just made it worse.
Fair.
No, I completely understand.
That's a tangent.
I completely understand that. I'm actually an EMT, but as you can see, I'm here.
Oh wow, I definitely could not do that job. I would.
No, neither could I. That's why
That's
why I stopped it. Well, I have I'm an EMT in degree sense, or an EMTA, and then it wasn't for me.
I've heard that job does not pay as well as it should.
That's part of the reason why it wasn't for me.
A friend of mine who's been like a paramedic for, I don't know, paramedic or EMT, I'm not 100% sure what the difference is, for like years. And like we just started talking money one day when we were chatting, and his hourly rate was like really low for what they're doing. Like, I made more money selling stuff at Guitar Center, and that's not meaningful. Well, it's meaningful to help people get started with their instruments, make sure they have the right gear to know what they're doing, and I tried to really help. So I made it meaningful, but not like going out and patching people up and preventing them from bleeding out and stuff.
You think that they would get paid more for what they do, considering that they have to save or at least sustain lives.
And also with just how much money is being charged and made in the process of those lives. Like, how much money does an ambulance ride cost? Like, something less than 0.1% of that is going to pay the people who are doing the job for the ambulance ride.
Also, talking about money, we just hit 1,200.
Yeah. So, but my tangent about education is like I really love teaching people how to play games and bringing them into just how awesome the hobby / interest slash art form of playing role playing games is, and I think a lot of people are turned off from having to learn a lot of complex systems to be able to get into the game, and they feel that is
Well,
a gate blocking their path.
too, a lot of it too is it's so hard to find a GM when it comes down to it. It's there are so many people out there who say, I want to play this game, I want to play this game, but then there's nobody GMing it. There's nobody out there who says, okay, yeah, I'll set up the world and I'll write the enemies and I'll write the story and I'll do all the background work required for you to actually play the game. Whereas for this one, the hard work's already done. The story is already written. The world is already there. All the complex stuff, all the enemies are in the book. I mean, everything is already there. All the GM has to do is plop the enemies on a map and fling the players of the map and say, go.
And the thing is, with balancing in this game, you don't need to have as much of a hard hand going, because obviously with the game with two players, like, Cliff probably balanced it maybe a touch, maybe removed an enemy or here or there or something like that, but it's not as necessary because death isn't, it's not permadeath. You come back and you come back stronger, and that like rogue-like experience is phenomenal. I can't tell you how much space on my computer is taken up by Dead Cells and 1,000 other games, like 1,000 other roguelikes like that, and it's I've never come across a game where the permadeath was gone and it was an actual mechanic in the game, and it made sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the important part, that it makes sense. That the actual okay, you're dead and somebody and you come back and you're dead and you come back and you're dead and you come back. That it's reasonable, that it's sensible.
Not just you have a magic remote from Click that can just rewind it,
No, you're dead. Your next Hellslayer is going to be better for it, but you're dead.
Yeah, in Morkborg, you tend to go through characters pretty quickly. When I played, I got the chance to play in a Morkborg game at ReaperCon last year, and they had like a stack of characters, pre-printed, randomly generated character sheets, and I just grabbed one off the top and said, "Let's go." And I looked at the sheet, and I had 1 hit point, and the character trait of believes that I'm immortal. I'm like, here we go. Just went into every situation. Well.
Oh no!
First, stepping foot in the dungeon I was the first person to walk in the dungeon. I fell into a pit and died. Just died screaming. Grab the next character, play on through. So it was a lot of fun. That's kind of the attitude you probably should be approaching Hellslayers with. Is your characters are probably going to die, but you can also build them up over time, and they can get pretty powerful and pretty cool.
They absolutely can.
But having that roguelike mechanic where you can bring someone in, and it's designed to take a little bit of the sting off of like having your character killed as well, because you get some new bonuses for your next one based on the stuff you did.
Well, and that's what you lose out on in D&D too, because obviously you can just make a new character and start, back where, the rest of the party's at level-wise and everything, but you don't necessarily gain anything. It's not like you have to, but dying becomes a real mechanic.
Part of the real motivation for my characters, at least, or for my players, sorry, I'm finding that part of the real motivation for them to stay alive is they want those rewards at the end of the 3-mission adventure or 3-adventure mission. I always get those two mixed up. But at the end of the 3 missions, they want their characters alive, so when they retire, their next characters are going to get those extra badass points. They're going to get those extra stat points. They're going to get that extra, they want to survive, so their next character is better. Like, they've all accepted this character is going to they're going to retire. They're going to be dead and gone. I'm going to have a new one. But
I didn't even know you could retire.
The longer it survive. Yeah.
So I see we have Rem in the chat and Clockwork Tuba. Killian asked if we need the Morkborg book to play Hellslayers. No, you don't. Hellslayers will have everything you need in the book to play the game. still recommend checking out Morkborg. It's an interesting, definitely a different approach to making a role playing game book.
Clockwork Tuba. I love that name.
Maybe you'll be inspired to make your own Morkborg hack because they have a third-party license that's like super wide open. Like you can just, as long as you say you put compatible with Morkborg on there somewhere and make a statement that's saying, "Hey, we're not officially affiliated with the creators of Morkborg," you can make your own Morkborg-inspired products and sell them, and that there's no strings attached.
Oh, just to answer Rib, yes, I did make the overlay. About 2 days worth. And I wasn't going to post anything in the chat just because my real name is up in there.
And yeah, thank you for that. Overlay looks cool. I see we are currently in the midst of an explosion of some kind.
Oh, yeah, no, just some nice friendly flames. You know, it's not going to hurt us. Some buzz saws over here.
Yeah, Clockwork Tuba has actually I first became aware of them during the Subversion Kickstarter when they were super thrilled about that and launched their own Subversion actual play. Clockwork Tuba, I believe, is doing a Hellslayers actual play, and I think they messaged me saying that it was going to drop this morning on their channel. Actually, I totally forgot to say that link and post it there, but Clockwork, if you want to share that in the chat, if it'll let you, feel free. Otherwise, I will track that down.
Or shoot it over here on he probably.
Yes, and
he can probably shoot it over on Discord.
Clockwork Tuba was one of the players that got to experience the meat grinder side of Morkborg, and I mean rather Hellslayers on last Thursday at Gen Con TV. Yeah, they've got an actual play live. Haven't seen it yet because I pretty much like got up and got ready to do this today. But looking forward to checking that out. And yeah, thank you so much for doing that. If anyone wants to do a Hellslayers actual play, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to provide any support that I can, which is probably not much, but at least I can toss you the PDF of the book and give you some encouragement. So yeah, a pretty good start here today. We're looking at about 25% of the way towards the goal already, by 20 minutes in.
And we got some folks who also want to play with you. So we've got a handful of people, digital access, PDF and hardcover.
Maybe we should talk about the tiers and stuff, because I don't think we've actually done that. I mean, the Kickstarter page is right there. It's all laid up nicely, thanks to the hard work of initially Ava, but then Bree.
Well, I mean, no harm. We're just making it easier on them, you know.
If you're going to be running a long-term campaign, man, sign me up.
It would be cool to see a campaign played all the way through to the very bitter end.
That is my goal with my players. I want to see what happens, but we'll see. We'll see.
Looking at the support tiers, and you can pledge at any level, but the rewards start at $20. That's where you get you'll receive a PDF copy of Hellslayers. So, yeah, you just want the game to play it in digital format, get your foot in the door, support the game, $20. If you want a hardcover book that will be printed and sent directly from Drive Through RPG, you also get the PDF at every other tier above this. Well, that is going to be $40 to back that at that level. And I'll jump ahead to the bundle of 5. Essentially, for retailers, if you want a bunch of books to sell in your store, or if you just want like a bunch of hardcover copies to supply your entire gaming group, GM and 4 players, you get 5 of the books for $160. It's basically buy 4 get 1 free at that tier, and that comes with PDFs as well.
I see.
And yeah, the other tiers are all sort of funky special Kickstarter rewards, extra perks. So starting at $100, you can get the hard copy of the book, in a PDF and get a seat at the table to play the game, a one-shot of the game, with me. I'm going to schedule several of them out, and you can sign up for which one fits your schedule the best, and you'll get a seat at that table with other people who have backed at that level. If you want to have me all to yourself with your gaming group, there's the Game Night with Friends at $500. That one, I will run a game for you and up to 3 of your friends. You get to choose the people, and we'll work out the time and place. Well, the place will be on the internet.
Which there's only 2 left. Oh, yeah, only 2 left out of the 3.
Oh, somebody grabbed one of those. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to put your mark on the game in the setting, at the $250 level, you get the hardcover book and PDF, of course. But then you also get to work with me to create a monster for Hellslayers. Pick one of the factions, give us an idea, we'll work out their stats and some special rules for them. It'll be fun. And at $1,000, there's only 2 of those available. You get to design a faction with me. So not just one monster, but a whole enemy faction of monsters, or monsters that they might be aliens of some kind, or if you want space vampires, we'll make the space vampires happen.
Yes.
In the book, we've got zombies.
Quit giving me ideas.
What's that?
I said, quit giving me ideas.
Yeah, currently we got zombies, we got space fascists, we have demons, and we have aliens. And in the stretch goals, there's another one that'll be the Rogue AI faction, which will be more computer-based, and we'll send robots and drones after you. Probably introduce some more hazards. I don't know. We'll see. I've got some ideas for it, but we got to hit that stretch goal for those. But
and we can go over those now if you'd like as well.
Yeah. Speaking of stretch goals, there's been one person in the chat sort of chanting for one of them in particular. And that is,
I wonder who.
Yeah, for the stretch goals, I wanted to make them kind of just front load a lot of the fun stuff early on in the campaign. So there's going to be some ones that I think we'll hit pretty quickly after we hit our goal. And the first one at $6,000 is a new character class, or MOS as we call them around here, which is a psychic or a psionic character. You'll have some sort of weird powers to use that will probably kill you in the process. And yeah,
I like that.
That'll be fun. At $7,000, the next tier up, just $1,000 more. We're going to introduce some new weapons into the game, so a little bit more weapon variety. I feel like there's already a fair amount of variety of weapons in the game, but there's definitely room for new stuff.
I only need a crowbar, so. And psychic powers. Give me psychic powers.
I'm sorry, you only need a crowbar, singular?
Can I have 2?
I mean, Cliff, how many crowbars did we find in our game?
It was a lot. It was basically like your Hellslayers, when you're promoted and retired, you went into business and opened a crowbar store. That's kind of what I pictured.
Yeah.
But yeah, at $8,000, the next one, that's the new Rogue AI faction, which I already talked about. $9,000 would have introduced some advanced hacking rules. And then $10,000 is the last kind of quick and easy one. I'm going to produce an original soundtrack. Probably work with my youngest son on that, who's really big into coding and modding games, but also makes music. He actually made a whole WAD, a whole episode for classic Doom, like all the maps and everything. Designed custom textures for it, and made an original soundtrack to go with it in the style and tone and sound of the kind of classic Sound Blaster card that the original Doom soundtrack would have been on. So,
didn't he make the soundtrack for our game?
So when we played, there were some songs that I played that were songs that he had made for that originally. Yes.
They were really good.
Some of the songs I used in the stream were ones that I made myself as well. But
you're both at what you do.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. I honestly think, like at 15 years old, he's probably surpassed me as a musician in many ways. Like I still got a leg up on him, some technical knowledge, like mixing and mastering and some recording tech stuff, and maybe some music theory stuff. But he's even gotten pretty big into that, so it's pretty awesome. He does some neat stuff. Oh, so yeah, it looks like Clockwork Tuba had a really lucky loot roll on their actual play that swung the rest of the game. So, Frank, you were talking about that lucky roll where your player got the power armor. I wonder if that was something similar.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. She is the player is thoroughly enjoying stomping around in Clockwork Armor. I mean, in my game, of course, and one of the real joys of Hellslayers I'm finding is the ability to just kind of improv on the fly. This particular player, the one who found the power armor, really enjoys stomping around and hitting things. So we improved a melee weapon in that she, in the process of melee killing an alien, she ripped their arm off and now uses the alien arm as a so that's her thing, is she has a melee weapon that is an alien arm, and she's adding bits and pieces of other aliens to it as she goes. At this point, it's rolling if I remember right off the top of my head, no guarantees, but I think it's rolling a D8 damage, I think. And it has claws from the alien hand on one side and a tooth on the other, similar to a pickaxe or a hammer or a warhammer, something like that.
Oh, that is so cool.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, she used badass points. It's exactly that. It's an alien arm, and that's her weapon. So that's one of the things I really love about this game is I mean, I give the players the basics, the outline, and they have just run with it. So it's been great.
I think it's a part of the charm of Morkborg is that it invites you to join in the creation of the game. There's just been so many just different things that people have made for Morkborg or using the Morkborg rules since it came out. Hellslayers is sort of like a whole conversion with its own setting and some new rules and stuff, but like a lot of the products, it's like someone puts out like, here's a new monster that I made up, or here's a new character class, or here's some equipment. So yeah, glad to see Hellslayers continuing that tradition, at least at your table.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So looking at the stretch goals, there's two other ones that start jumping up in numbers here. So at 15K, there's going to be a new written adventure. So the book as it is when it comes out will have essentially all the tools you need to generate adventures very quickly. And probably have something of an example starter mission in there just to help out. But like this will be like a whole written adventure, probably with some special rules and the maps all laid out, not using the random tables that are going to be in the book, which are already great for sort of prepping things up quickly. But yeah, this one will be more of a little bit more narrative heavy. Tell some more of the story of the setting of Hellslayers. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I don't have to think about it until we hit 15,000 on the Kickstarter campaign. And the big one at 20K, this one costs more money because I want to pay the person who's going to do it a good chunk of money for it. Carlton, the creator of Exploding Dice, which is a really nice dice rolling bot in Discord that does a lot more than just rolling dice. It can like track things for you. I like to use the initiative tracking feature. It saves a lot of time on rolling initiative, but he'll be creating a bot for Hellslayers that you can invite to your Discord channel and essentially help you with playing the game more quickly and easily. So you'll be able to do a loot command where you roll, it'll roll on the loot table for you. It'll be able to go to all the random tables for generating a mission or a room or enemies, and you go ahead and generate a whole mission for you and present it to you room by room as you explore. Just a lot of neat stuff will be built into it, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a really useful aid for playing the game for players and game masters, and will likely also, if you want to use it that way, facilitate playing GM-less. So we got a few more ideas for potential stretch goals above 20K, but but I don't think we're gonna cross that bridge till we come to
Somebody pay 20K. I want that bot.
it.
It's not going to be me because I'm broke as a joke, but still.
I hear you. I design games for a living, so I am not wealthy.
Yep. Here.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just take out a small loan and we'll figure it out. My credit is I'm broke as a joke and my credit sucks, so it can't be me either. Sorry.
Same.
Oh, we're jumping up a bit more now. Have 23 backers, sitting at 1,460. So
Gonna be
let's
24.
just go up. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna hit the funding in 34 minutes thing that happened with Subversion, but I also did not have that level of marketing campaign. Opti put a lot of work and not a small amount of funds into advertising and promoting this Subversion, and Hellslayers has a budget of $0 and lots of time just put in by the people involved. So we really want the Kickstarter to succeed so people can get paid for making the game, including myself, but not just me, also the people at REM who have been involved in making this happen. So yeah, we'd like to see that happen, and if we do really, really well, we'll be putting some money towards fragging unicorns as well, which will go to help fund future products for our lovely game company. And yeah, I'd like to also make some money for making a thing. So
What?
yeah, I feel like
make money.
I feel like this is a bit selfish. I know.
But you've only poured a couple of years into this. You know, I feel like asking for money.
Could you, Cliff? I am so indignant. How dare?
Something else I'd like to do with money is pay artists to make stuff for the book.
No,
right
that would be
now,
amazing.
I've assembled things with the best of my artistic ability, which is largely involved in finding different stock art that I don't have to pay for. And I put together like a starter PDF with like 100 pages in it. It looks pretty good. I think. I mean, it's not like super professional or anything yet, but I think for what I can do, and for just learning layout and a little bit of graphic design, I think it turned out pretty good so far.
Are you referring to the PDF from our initial game, the one that you built after that?
Yep.
I think it looks pretty good. Honestly, I would buy that in hardcover. Absolutely.
Well, assuming the Kickstarter campaign funds well, it will look even better because, like, I will get commissioned art made. At the very least, I want to do a commissioned cover for it because I think getting some awesome cover art would be awesome.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely love that. Well, I know that was a very long first question.
Are we talking about questions? I forgot even what the question was.
No. I was you had already told me the crossbow and shooting the dragon in the eye. But
oh, that was the question. Okay.
Yeah, no, that long time ago. Well, would you like to share a little bit about your creative process when developing new game content?
Sure. It's a little bit going to be different for each game, but it starts essentially with an inspiration, an idea, something like just sort of reading something or looking over something. Like in the case of Hellslayers, I was looking over the Morkborg book. And just got an idea, like, it'd be neat to use this system for other things, like I think something like Doom would be cool, like the classic video game Doom would be cool, like just as a dungeon crawler, sci-fi horror RPG, using these really neat, innovative light rules that just seem really fun to play. So yeah, getting that initial idea, I think. Gosh, I have no great advice for generating ideas. You just sort of, it happens. Um, I guess just explore things that might be interesting to you, and it should happen at some point. So getting
Okay.
that initial idea is a big part of it. It has to be something that I'm excited about, I feel inspired by, and generally speaking, a good gauge of it for me is like I feel like I want to play it as soon as possible. so so that's step one is inspiration strikes, which you know I don't think is particularly well. I think there's definitely some magic and mysticism to it, but also it's mundane and real and grounded at the same time. Like you can encourage your creativity in a lot of different ways just by doing creative things, and that will build upon it, and ideas will happen. Um, so, but if you don't have ideas and don't know how to come up with them, it can be very discouraging. So I'd say,
Passion.
yeah, just
Step one.
look into, yeah, explore your interests, have fun, talk to people about ideas, and uh, explore the different RPGs that are out there. Because one of the things that often inspires me is I'll look at an RPG that I haven't read before or seen before, and I will be very inspired by aspects of their game mechanics. Um, I may not ever play that particular RPG, or just I definitely have bought and read way more RPGs than I could ever have time to play. But they still often will influence my play or GMing style. Some of the biggest examples I can think of that, other than Morkborg, is sort of the Apocalypse world and Forge of the Dark game engines. Just uh, what they brought. Some of the ideas of Cascade, who made Karma in the Dark, and trying to remember. I did a stream of this game. Drawing up a link in the name now. Oh, Rural Punk. Yeah, um, among other things. So just like checking out other games can help sort of build up that inspiration. And generally speaking, role-playing game mechanics can't actually be owned by anyone, which I honestly love because I absolutely detest the very idea of intellectual property. I don't think anyone should attempt to hold on and own ideas and restrict other people from using those ideas in their own things and building off of them. I think it's egocentric and overly individualistic, and is one of the cancers of our society is the system of intellectual property, copyright, trademark, all of that. It's a big pile of capitalist garbage that I hate. Oh crap, I'm on a tangent. Um,
Political
No,
tangent. Yes.
I don't think it's a tangent at all.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I'm not the game maker, so.
so yeah, in general, like I love doing, yeah, third party stuff that or third party products that are sort of built off of uh, a license that you're able to use and make your own stuff with. I love that Morkborg is doing that, and so yeah, you can use game mechanics from other games actually even without their permission. Just don't use their text, or some of the terms might be trademarked, and don't take anything I say as legal advice because I'm not a lawyer.
Good, covering all your bases there.
If I had a D&D alignment, it is not lawful or neutral. I can tell you that. Chaotic is definitely one of the elements in it. So
I was gonna say I'd put you as like chaotic good, somewhere in there.
that's what I'd like to think of myself as. That's probably like if I don't really like any alignment systems in role playing games in general.
Sure.
I feel like they're too restrictive or reductive, and can also be potentially harmful in weird ways for some people. That said, I think chaotic good is something I aspire to.
That's fair. Yeah, if you don't play to your alignment, you get penalized. I've never enjoyed that sort of thing.
I've always played kind of fast and loose with alignments, and when I played D&D using alignments. Not really super restrictive, but I also played with some people who were like old school D&D grognards who were like,
But would your character do that?
you have to reject this other player character in your party and essentially try to kill him because he did something that your god thinks is evil. Otherwise, you will lose all your class abilities.
Oof.
Was one of the situations I played in. Like, this is not fun. Let's not do this. Like,
You are
I'm
restricting my RP.
I'm okay with rationalizing getting along with this other player character so we can play the goddamn game.
Yeah, that's harsh, man.
But honestly, I think they were doing it wrong. So
All right, so I got a question for you, Cliff. If you were going to play Hellslayers, not GM it, but play Hellslayers, what would your ideal MOS and playstyle be?
well, I think whenever it's been a while, but I've often played like a Halo split screen with
Sure.
the
Yeah.
wife and kids or whatever. Courtney or Vox tends to be one of those cautious players who wants to like hang back and take a look at the situation and find the right sniper spot and land that shot or whatever. And I'm more like, rush into cover. You know, my shield's there to take damage and be used, and like get in things' faces and shoot them down and then rush towards the next thing and like be the big action hero who ultimately
So you're
gets
kind of
blown
like Frank was a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'd probably Grunt would be fun. I think Scout's got some neat powers though that adds some like cool tactical flexibility. I think all of them could be fun, but I think like Grunt with like cyber blades and like the cyber arms that let you reroll damage, especially with the new charge rule, that seems pretty badass to me. You just like go get in their faces and cut them down before they get a chance to shoot you. And
Speaking of the new charge rule, tell us a little bit about it.
yeah, you had your players shared some feedback with me. One of the things was that having movement be taken action is less fun for the melee players because then you have to like use half of your action for a turn to just get to be able to use your attacks. They suggested a few different possibilities, but I got an idea for a rule that essentially doesn't change the game much, but probably does in some big ways. But just with a little bit of rules tweak. So normally in Hellslayers you have two actions. You can use them to attack, take cover, move, a couple other things, but that's the main stuff. I came up with a rule that allows you to move and attack as one action, with the limitation that you can only do it if there are no enemies in the same zone as you. So if you want to rush forward and attack, you can move and attack with a single action. Bad news is the bad guys can do it too. And a lot of the bad guys in Hellslayers are melee focused, especially if you're fighting demons and aliens and zombies.
I know that was actually initially some feedback from my players for the Space Nazi campaign. Because I've got two groups, Team Alpha and Team Beta. And Team Beta right now is running through an abandoned oil rig full of aliens. Team Alpha was doing a prison break out of a prison run by evil space Nazis. And Team Alpha was going, but where are the demons? We want to fight aliens and demons. I was like, fine, I guess. So I'm looking forward to their next few sessions. And aliens and demons in particular, that'll be some fun melee combat.
Yeah, the aliens have some psychic powers of their own. Some of them do. So unless we hit the stretch goal, it's pretty much just for them to use. And Clockwork too been mentioning, yeah, the conscripts and their pipes. Yeah, the space Nazis or space fascists enslave people and throw them into battle as conscripts. And if you kill all the space fascists in the room, the conscripts drop their weapons and say, "Thank you for rescuing us. We're so sorry." And then you get extra rewards at the end of the adventure. But if it takes you a long time to take out the space fascists and the conscripts are just in your face, beating you over and over again with the pipes and wrenches that they have, they can do a lot of damage. I think one of the reasons why the actual play, the first actual play that we played through, they survived so well is that you weren't squeamish about occasionally blowing up some conscripts in order to clear a room.
Who? Us? No.
Yeah, there were a few times where we're like, sorry, but we're gonna use our rockets now because we need to.
I'm sure I don't have the slightest idea what you're referring to.
Patrick in the chat saying, wishing they could afford the Ultimate Faction Builders bundle. They would make the threat faction Gremlins. Ooh.
Ooh.
That sounds fun. Like, what would the Gremlins be like? I'm kind of picturing like Gremlins from the movie Gremlins. So
little triples, but with teeth and claws.
Yeah, but then also
guy.
like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, just little scrappy guys, like really likes grappling.
Sure, but probably less direct. I think they would survive mostly by making tech malfunctions. So I'd imagine they'd like take over some, maybe a little bit like the Rogue AI faction I have in mind, where they might reuse or reincorporate some drones or have more traps or things, almost like kobolds.
I do have a homebrewed alien in my games actually already that I call the glitch gremlin, and in my DM notes, because what I'm working with is I'm using free sprites for all the bad guys. So I'm building some custom enemies here and there based off the sprites that I've got. So it's like whatever. But I've got this glitch gremlin, and in my GM notes it's steal shit and run away, quote unquote, steal shit and run away. So what this glitch gremlin does is on its turn, it closes to melee range and attempts to steal something using an agility check, opposed agility check. And the players have 2 turns to kill it. They have to actually kill it. And if they kill it, they get their stuff back. And if they don't kill it, it teleports away. And that's the glitch gremlin. It's the most obnoxious NPC. I love it to death.
It reminds me of the Rust monster from very early gaming.
At least I give my players a chance to get their stuff back. They have 2 turns, but the catch is that it has 12 HP. So they really have to focus in on it, or else it's going to get away. So my players have already learned to kind of hate the glitch gremlin. I love it.
Nice.
This is what happens whenever a GM is given too much power.
Oh yeah. Great.
Yeah, I think it's one of the cool things about Morkborg and Hellslayers is just there's lots of different things you can come up with for ideas for like doing homebrew stuff, and you don't need to come up with a lot of fancy rules mechanics for them. Just a little bit here and there to bring the field to life can really help sell that particular monster or trap or other aspect of the game. I really feel like Morkborg, part of its culture is that it invites you to create. So I'm definitely happy to hear about more custom Hellslayer stuff being made up. See, going on, returning to the question about my game design process. So coming up with the idea, that's a big first step, right? Talk that one to death. Next is having some design goals. With that being, what are you trying to accomplish with this game? What do you want it to play or feel like? It's a step that some people might not think about. You might just jump to like, I got the idea, now I'm going to start writing down the rules. And that tends to result in, first drafts are one thing, but some game designs can seem a bit unfocused. They're trying to do too much at once, or
building backwards, kind of like taking an idea for a game first and then trying to build mechanics around it instead of vice versa, or building out a story before you even have a world.
Sure, and you could approach it from any of those directions, but I think having something of like some sort of a values or guiding principles or aspects of the things that you want to define as like this is what this game is about, and this is what this game is like. So for Hellslayers, I wanted a game that kind of setting wise fit the mood of like sci-fi horror games that I've played over the years. And just going right back to like classic Doom, one of the first ones I remember playing. Well, it's probably honestly one of the first ones actually. So building off the shoulders of Wolfenstein 3D, which is the actual first-person shooter as far as I know. But other games that I've enjoyed in the genre as well, such as System Shock, Half-Life, or some of the films of the genre that I remember enjoying, like Aliens. That's kind of the big classic one, right? Of a team of Marines going into a situation that's overrun with nasty aliens, and they have to. Well,
I was definitely seeing some Aliens influence in a couple of our sessions. I remember that.
Yeah, there's a couple of other settings and things for a particular game made by a particular game company that I played a lot. But I don't really want to name it so much because they're sort of they like to throw lawyers at people. But there's a particular board game where you play as essentially Marine type people in space that are going into
chat. If you know the name, don't put it in chat.
Genes, or in hulking objects in space. I think that's as far as I could go with that. But I was also inspired by that, though. I've used none of the setting or rules from that. But yeah, having a so part of it was like I wanted to carry it sort of the themes of sci-fi horror, of being in these confined places, going room to room, not knowing what you're going to face. So that's one design goal, is bringing that theme to the table. Another design goal is I wanted it to be low to no prep, so you could just sit down and play the game real quickly. Character creation, designing adventures, going to play through them. You should be able to get into the game really quickly.
Which it sounds like you definitely succeeded in that, based on both watching it myself on stream and a fellow game runner here. It does seem like you definitely accomplished that.
You absolutely did. So my players, like I said, I've got two separate groups. One of them has 3 players. We're bringing on a 4th this next session. The other has 4 players, and that's my max. I want a 4-person team up for each. And for each of them, it took my players, none of whom had heard anything about the game other than me, being super excited and saying, "Hey, do you guys want to play Doom on tabletop?" But that was what I was pitching it as. But they got in, created the characters, and were ready to go within maybe half an hour tops. So, but most of them, it took 5 or 10 minutes, and they were ready to go.
Nice. Clockwork 2 was saying prep time for their one shot was about 45 minutes, and most of that was mocking up the map in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's I guess another design goal, which is sort of similar to the one that I just mentioned, but also a little bit more specific, is okay. I've played a lot of RPGs over the years, and something that sounds and seems fun, but is actually tedious and maybe sometimes not fun to play through, is a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
The idea, like, you go into a dungeon, you search and you find monsters, and you look for treasure, and there's traps and things. Like, that's an interesting, exciting environment. But when the way you often have to play through them in a role-playing game is you're like having to map things out and keep track of specific things, and like searching every 10 feet square, and
What a map.
it gets really tedious and ultimately not terribly fun. So with Hellslayers, I wanted to bring the fun of the dungeon crawl, having the option to explore, fighting monsters, overcoming hazards and traps and things, and getting loot and rinse and repeat without falling into that tedium. And I feel pretty good about that with Hellslayers. I think it's accomplished that as well.
No, I've seen a lot of games where the constant grinding it just slams the game to a halt, and that goes for anything, whether it be board games, more heavy into RP video games, all of those things. As soon as you introduce, a couple of hours of just grinding through it, you get to the other side, and cool, you got some good stuff, but it isn't. It takes all the energy out of the game. It really does. Because then you're like, well, now I'm out of that. Now what? Big bad? Is that what I do now?
Yeah, I wish I could remember the names of the article or the author that I'm thinking of here, but there was some articles that I read that talked about approaching a dungeon as a flowchart, and I think that kind of influenced my approach to Hellslayers a bit. Rather than having like a super detailed map where you have to make sure you resolve, each corridor you're going, and making sure you make a map so you don't get lost and describe exactly where you're going and things like that, and poking things with a 10-foot pole. You essentially have a flowchart where these are the important bits where something interesting happens. We can skip the stuff that happens in between. I think that involved. I think that influenced my approach to Hellslayers as well.
I'm always a big proponent of the fast travel system, where you get a few spark notes of what happened. Going from one city to another and just being able to go through it, whether you're traveling or getting through something just kind of monotonous, like being able to just crash through, get the spark notes of what kind of went on, a couple of choices here and there, but get to the next thing that matters.
If you're not doing a hex crawl where the point of it is to fill in the map and explore every detail, like why do you need to focus on that travel stuff so much? A little bit of flavor text, maybe an encounter or two, maybe a decision to make, like that's all you need. Don't need to resolve, okay, for the first 4 hours, who's foraging for food, who's watching for danger, and which travel mode are you using? Do you want to push the horses or not?
No, Cliff, I need you to RP being asleep for 8 hours really quick. I really need you to get into character.
I might sound a little bit like I'm anti-crunch for role-playing games, like anti-real detailed, in-depth rules. I'm really not. But I do feel like something that a lot of people don't think about so much is how much rules can influence the tone and the experience of playing the game. I guess it seems kind of obvious when I put it that way, but it's also profound.
No, it definitely checks out.
So when we were designing Subversion, one of the things we really thought about a lot was how much rules should we make about combat? Because the game, combat is a thing that can happen, but we really wanted to present a game where you feel empowered to find other solutions to problems than violence. And a lot of the characters' designs can be built around that. But so ultimately, how much space in the book is devoted to combat tells players how much combat to expect to some degree. So yeah, we really had to really find a fine balance between having rules that would be interesting and tactical enough to provide interesting combats, but also not be like, hey, this is a combat game, do combat. So part of that was essentially giving a lot more weight to the other systems, like you have a sneaking infiltration system that is just as, if not more detailed than resolving a combat, and other things like that. So yeah, for Hellslayers, definitely leaning into the combat and less into the non-combat solutions. So, but
no, really, I could not tell from the stream. Excuse me, I'd like to fire my rocket launcher into this group of enemies, please. Finally, that I've already spent 3 reincarnations, like three brutes running into and dying to. I love it.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm getting at with the rules is the rules have a big impact on how the game feels and will be perceived and will influence essentially the players' choices when they play the game in ways that they probably won't be thinking about or realizing. So when you introduce crunch, it should have a purpose and some meaning and should fit the design goals of your game.
No, absolutely. Also, I was going to ask, so I helped out like a touch with some of these graphics, but I did want to know, or a little bit of the campaign, what is the Doomsday Clock? I don't know all that much about it. I just know that it sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so this comes from Morkborg originally. In Morkborg, it's a very heavy metal, like doom metal style inspired RPG, dark fantasy, and the apocalypse, the end of the world is approaching. And there are these prophecies about the end of the world. And essentially, you've got this couple pages of these things, these psalms, which are various nasty biblical sounding things that herald the end of the world. And when you play Morkborg, you roll a die at the start of each session, and whenever that die comes up a 1, one of the psalms is triggered, and you roll this D66 chart to see which one it is. And it might be like, the seas run red with blood, or boils start appearing on everyone's skin, or there might be more vague things. A lot of it's open to interpretation, but the key thing is the world changes in a big way, marching towards its ultimate end. And the 7th time you trigger this, you don't roll to see what happens. That time, the world ends. Campaign's over. Everything and everybody dies. It is the end of the campaign. I believe it says "burn this book."
Oh, that is crazy.
So I wanted to bring something inspired by that into Hellslayers. In the setting of Hellslayers, the Earth is doomed. There are some humans trying to eke out some survival out in space, like moon bases, Mars colonies, asteroid mining stations, gas processing facilities, colony ships trying to find a new place to live. Any hope for humanity is not on Earth, because environmental collapse, wars over resources, nukes flying, biological weapons, like it is over. Earth is dying its last gasps. Going into this game, you can be sure of one thing for certain, and that is you cannot save the Earth. The Earth is going to die, as will all life upon it. Like, that's going to happen. So, a little bit unlike... I should go back to the Doomsday Clock. So, we resolved that with the Doomsday Clock, essentially at the start of each mission, there's a chance that the Doomsday Clock will be triggered. Mm-hmm. And every time the Doomsday Clock is triggered, you roll on a D66 chart to see what massive, awful Doomsday event happens, usually involving billions of people dying somewhere. I also sort of tied these into the factions in some way, so whichever Doomsday event you roll, your Hellslayer mission will essentially be a reaction to that event or incorporate some elements of that event. And many of those will tie to a specific faction, like maybe there's a demonic invasion of Earth, so you got to go fight some demons, something like that. And just like in Morkborg, the 7th time one of these things happens, you don't roll to see what happens. Instead, it's the end. But it's not the end in the same way as in Morkborg. In some ways, this is where some of my hopefulness and optimism comes through as a game designer.
You don't have to burn the book, right?
You don't have to burn the book. And while the campaign is about to end, it might not be the end for all of humanity. So what you do at that point is the Earth is dead, it's dying, awful things happening down there. Just trying to think about that too much. But you have one chance to do a final epilogue mission where if you want, you can bring back your characters that you promoted previously. And based on the success or failure of this final epilogue mission, which is much more difficult as well, but you also get to bring all your toys and your best characters. So based on the success or failure of that mission, as well as how many promotion points you've earned during the campaign by having characters complete lots of missions and surviving, you will make a final roll to see whether or not humanity survives. So your influences over the missions sort of are building towards giving humanity a chance to keep going. And that's a dice roll that's based on, you get bonuses based on those things you've accomplished, as well as whether you succeeded or failed the epilogue mission. And you get to roll to find out, did you actually save humanity and give them a chance to continue, or is this the last gasp?
Now, do those points ever add up to make it a surefire thing? Like, where you've done so well that you will save humanity?
No, the amount of bonuses that you can accrue ultimately cap out at a certain point, such that there's always a chance that you will ultimately fail. Generally speaking, there is a in every almost every dice roll in the game, there's a thing called a painful success mechanic, where you can essentially, if you fail, you can say no, I don't, but you have to pay a price. I don't think the painful success option is going to be there for the end of the world roll. So
no, that would make sense.
I
One
thought
guy
about it.
hoping
I'm
really
actually
hard.
toying with the possibility of having a painful success option, being that if you succeeded in the epilogue mission, you can take a painful success on the final roll by essentially sacrificing the lives of all of your Hellslayers. But you have to live to get to that point. I might actually not do that. So that may or may not be in the final version of the book. I'm still kind of deciding on that.
I feel like one other qualifier in there maybe something that somebody has to do on one of the missions to, you set it up correctly. Not only have all the influence points and everything, but maybe some crux in the mission, pulling some doomsday weapon, saving a certain person, or something of the sort, and also accruing all of these influence points. Maybe then, at the end, you can have that sacrificial death in order to save humanity as a painful success. But I definitely see what you're saying. It needs more to for it to feel worth it at the end.
Yeah, but ultimately the Doomsday Clock is sort of a way to kind of take a step back and see what's happening in the overall setting and see how the setting is progressing in a way that has some influence on the actual experience of the Hellslayers themselves, like which missions are going on. But also, okay, drawing a blank at my point here. Darn it.
Oh, so sorry.
That happens on stream.
Didn't mean to derail you.
Oh, but also, yeah, the campaign has like a built-in endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like most role-playing games where the idea of your campaign going on forever or being a shorter thing, like where the ending would be not being defined by the game itself. It's defined in Morkborg and Hellslayers and Cyborg. There's a built-in end to this campaign. You can play another campaign afterwards if you want, starting over, but like there's a limited scope, which it's not a short scope. Chances are you'll get a lot of game sessions in to get to that end point. I'm not really sure how long that would be. I haven't actually played through to that extent in playtesting yet, so.
But it's also down to chance. That's what I love about it. Like, there's not like a certain amount of missions that you have to do, but just it gets more and more likely as time goes on that eventually you're going to roll that one. I do really like that. Just down to chance.
Yep.
Well, I was also going to ask, because you already talked a little bit about being the grunt, and of course we talked about, you know, uh, the potential, and if everybody really goes in for it, the psychic MOS. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about your character design choices, going through like the medic or the grunt, if there's anything directly that you're pulling from, with maybe without naming names, but like a general feel that you were going with some of these guys?
Sure. I guess in Morkborg you got different character classes. In other role-playing games you do it. In Hellslayers, instead of character class, we have an MOS, which is more or less the same thing. Um, it kind of defines what your character's role is on the team, and gives you a certain range of abilities and equipment you might start with. So the grunt is pretty much like the default, right? That's the Doom guy. Um, the Master Chief. You're the main combat focused person who's going to go in and do the heavy fighting, right?
The badass.
So, yeah, all of the grunts' abilities are largely focused on fighting and doing damage. So that's pretty straightforward, right? Then we have the Scout, who's someone who can help detect dangers, but also like deal with hazards and traps. They're sort of inspired by the rogue concept from RPGs. So some of their abilities are based on finding things, but also movement. So they might like get the cyber legs ability that lets them move twice as fast, for example. But yeah, a lot of their stuff is built around helping the team survive in less direct ways than just doing more damage.
And didn't I hear something about a cyber hound or something like that last game?
Tech Hound, yeah. There's drones. Which brings us to the engineer. It's more like the techie person, Hicks run a bypass in this door sort of thing. Like they can hack the computer systems, repair damaged systems, and they also are going to have various different tactical support gadgets or abilities, such as energy shields, things like that. But characters are the most likely to end up having one or more drones, which there are drones in this game, essentially like little pet robots of some kind or another that help you with different things. The Tech Hound is a doggy drone that can run out and bite your enemies for you. It's a robot dog that's built for combat.
I've always been the Beastmaster type, or maybe an artificer with some sort of like mechanoid. My current campaign in D&D, I have a homunculus servant that is a cute little top hat with spider legs that can fly around. I love that type so much.
I love that stuff too. It's why I write for Shadowrun. One of the big things I've advocated for and introduced a bunch is having pets in Shadowrun. So I put the Critter Trainer quality path in the Shadowrun Companion when I got the chance. When I got the chance to write for Body Shop, I get the chapter for augmentations and stuff for critters. And the wildlife book that's coming out, it's the critter book that's coming out. I get to write the care and feeding chapters for that. So I love having like pet class kind of stuff as well. It's a lot of fun. But so yeah, drones, there's lots of different kinds of drones. I think probably the most useful drone that you could get is the Scout drone, because it can prevent you from walking into ambushes, which can be very deadly.
That would have come in handy last game session.
There's also the pack horse or the pack mule drone, which carries stuff for you, but also hands you tools and helps you with technical tasks. There's a little turret drone, which imagine like a little laser gun with legs. You can sit on your shoulder or wherever you need it to, and pew pew.
Oh, I love that. I love having little buddies. That is my favorite part of games. Like, just having a little friend.
Generally speaking, like you're limited to one drone at a time. but the engineer has an ability they can unlock called Drone Master, which lets them have more.
See, that is my psychic class. That is well, but mine is already in the game. So
Yeah, it's already in the game.
Clockwork, I one upped you.
Yeah, I see Elizabeth is in here, the other player who got chewed up last Thursday playing Hellslayers on Gen Con TV. Good to see you. You know, something I love about this game is every time I played it with someone to like demo or playtest or whatever, they walked away going, "That was a lot of fun," and I hadn't yet had the game session where you just die a bunch and fail. But having the players go like, "That was so much fun" after that as well, like that makes me feel really good about this game.
There was that time that Grunt ran into a room full of shotguns. There was that.
Yeah. See, the last of the 4 character classes, the initial ones, if we hit 6,000, there'll be another. There'll be a stretch goal one, but and that's the medics. So they need to have somebody around to help patch people up. I feel like game design, mechanically speaking, the medic is maybe the least thematic, because I toyed around and tweaked a lot of different versions of the medic kits and healing rolls and too much or too little healing, being able to do it over and over again. That's been the hardest one to dial in out of all 4 of the character groups, the MOSs. I think I've got them balanced pretty well, but yeah, they mostly have to fight, but sometimes their healing abilities come in handy or are absolutely vital.
You know, personally, I like the medics when you give them 2 pistols and just have them go guns akimbo. That's my favorite kind of medic.
But yeah, they have some really powerful life-saving abilities, including "Don't Die on Me," where if your character dies, the medic can go nope, but you come back with 1 hit point. There's some chance involved, and there are drawbacks, but yeah, you can do that, or rub some dirt on it, which is the healing thing you can do over and over as many times as you want until it fails, and then it makes things worse. Because you're gonna get an infection doing that.
Do you want to talk about that one medic ability where they have the cybernetic refill pump or whatever, where it draws? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I forget the name of it now. There's a cybernetic system that essentially draws from your body's resources to generate supplies for med packs. So you essentially have a little tube or a hookup somewhere in your body that you can plug into a med kit to essentially put some material made from your body in there to put some medicine in. It uses a cybernetic medical synthesizer, so you can use it once, I think, without any drawbacks to recharge a med kit. But after that, you start like taking some damage and fatigue and stuff.
That is possibly my favorite medic ability. Just like, here, let me refill the med pack using my own blood and bone.
Yeah, the engineer has a similar option for recharging things. So recharging power packs and devices and things from their own body. They can do it once, and then they can do it more than once, but it starts to take a lot out of them afterwards. I think the medic's probably one of the coolest abilities is the Lazarus system, where if they die, a bunch of nanites bring them back to life with a few hit points. It can only be used once per mission, but then it can be the nanites can be recharged with other trauma nanites or between missions. So the medic's sort of all about surviving more and also sometimes healing other people.
Sometimes.
I didn't get to see hardly any of it, given their death count. Did they ever think to go medic to keep themselves alive longer?
Yeah, they tried all the classes. Okay. The medic did not get a chance to rub some dirt on anyone before they died screaming.
Well, there are only 2 of them, so only so many chances to cause any meaningful damage.
But yeah, they took advantage of the opportunity to try all four of the different MOSs um, to one degree or another.
Oh, and we've been going for about an hour and a half. We may go to just one quick 10-minute break, and we will be right back.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
thanks everyone for joining us so far, and
We'll be back in 10.
Can I just ask, what does a summoning tea kettle look like?
Oh, a summoning tea kettle. It is made out of cast iron that has been painted ritually with symbols in blood, obviously, that are then coated
Obviously.
and shellacked over so that they don't flake off, that way it can last for centuries. And we use a nice clear coat though, so you can see them quite nice, quite clear. We mix in with the blood, we mix in the iridescent paint, so it gives us a nice little beautiful shimmer, especially as it heats up. And as you heat it up, that's where the magic happens, because that is when all of the symbols start to glow and get bright and beautiful. And as the tea kettle whistles, that is the summoning ritual complete.
If you have an interest in using the summoning tea kettle, or taking part in any of the other worlds in our games, you don't have to have experience. Just join our Discord, and the GMs will work with you and help you find a game you enjoy. The link is in the chat.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?
What a spell! Spell!
Spells.
Spell! She says spell like 92 times. Spell! 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 Spell!
Oh, well.
You get to play with us now, which is so exciting. So with channel points, bits, and subscribes, you can give rewards to the player of your choice. So how to do that is, no, not Bob. Channel points, I believe it is 500 points, gets you NERPs, which is +3 to any dice roll to the player of your choice. For 1,000 channel points, you can do a point of edge to any player. And for 2,500 channel points, you can do 4 edge to the player of your choice. Now for bits, for 100 bits, that's $1, you can do the NERPs. For 200 bits, that's $2, you can do the point of edge. Or for 500 bits, that's $5, get 4 edge to give to the player of your choice. And finally, again, the subs, if you subscribe, you can give 4 edge to any player.
welcome back, everybody. Hope everyone had a nice little break. And so, before the break, I had heard a little bit about writing and specifically for Shadowrun. Cliff, can you talk a little bit about that experience? Or you're not underneath under an NDA or anything. What kind of
but I
pulled
can
you
still
in?
talk about a lot of stuff. So
Fair.
certain things I can't talk about, I'm sure, but
No one here will tell. I promise.
yeah, it's just the internet. That's all.
Yeah, the Shadowrun is forever. The internet is temporary. You know, all that good stuff. But what first like drew you into that?
Well, I've been into Shadowrun for a really long time. It's sort of one of my favorite RPGs that I've played. Like, altered the course of my life. The people I've met and played Shadowrun with. So, Shadowrun's a big deal in my house, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, I started a podcast about Shadowrun with my spouse, and been doing that for years.
The Arcology podcast?
Yep, the Arcology podcast. And I've been involved in a few others as well. But yeah, I got into the game, got into podcasting about it. My wife, Courtney, some know her as Vox, she got her foot in the door as writing for Shadowrun because something she was interested in doing. And I ended up making friends with and just hanging out with people who write for Shadowrun. And I was standing around and with a bunch of them outside a restaurant at one Gen Con, and John Helfers, who's the fiction lead for Catalyst, just was checking in with people, saying checking in with people about like what projects they were working on or what they were going to pitch, and like looked at me and says like, so what book are you writing for me? Like, I'm just standing near the authors, but. And I pitched him one, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with the novella. With my pitch for the book was Urban Brawl. He was like, "I love it." He gave me a hug, and then I had to come up with a story based around Urban Brawl. So after that, I started getting a little bit more involved in like writing for the role playing game itself. Just got started with like a small few hundred-word contract just to get my foot in the door and see how I would do. And now I'm one of the, I guess, senior freelancers, I think is the term for Catalyst. So most new Shadowrun books that are coming out, I have a significant chunk of words in now. So it's pretty exciting. It's like if I were to go back and tell 16-year-old me who was just getting to Shadowrun that I would write for the game someday, the teenager would be pretty awed and would probably think that my adult life is way cooler than it actually is.
What? You mean you don't like run around day to day with like dark red shades on and a long black trench coat, driving a really cool car around like downtown Los Angeles?
No, most of those things I don't do. I do wear the wraparound shades though, because I don't know. I thought of those like cool looking cyberpunk kind of looking things, and my oldest teenager has told me that those are essentially dad glasses.
I mean, as long as you have cyberpunk shades, like that's step one. So.
Only while he's writing, though.
Only while you're writing. Yeah, you have to wear them while you're writing.
I love that so much. Being able to work with Jason specifically on a few things. I'm pretty sure you had brought him up in the initial Gen Con interview. Because you, of course, probably have to work with Jason, right?
Oh, Jason Hardy, the Shadow Online developer.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's more working for, I guess. But yeah, Jason's really, really awesome. He's been super supportive of me in a lot of different ways. He's the person who introduced Rem and me to each other. So that's how we met.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. Really good line developer. People complain about the editing in Shadowrun a lot and sort of drag his name on the internet sometimes, but honestly, I don't see everything that gets involved and goes on in this. And I've read a lot of role-playing books, and they've all got editing errors, all of them. So it's never going to be perfect if you're going to look for stuff to criticize. But
people are always going to find a punching bag.
no, I think he's done a great job with Shadowrun and sort of also borne the criticism that goes along with it with a grace that I don't think I could possibly manage. And he lets us do some just really neat, weird stuff. I was surprised how open he is to just people coming up with and introducing ideas that I figured there would be more of a gate involved, but all the crazy stuff I put in, going like, I wonder if Jason's going to let me get away with this. Like, the answer is yes, he'll let me get away with it.
I mean, it definitely helps just how approachable of a person he is.
Yeah, he's super approachable and nice and friendly. But also, if you get to know him, he's got this kind of dry, sardonic sense of humor that is just...
oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, lovely.
Can I say, just me as a gamer, if I had told myself 2 years ago, like, yeah, you're going to be on a stream with this guy who actually writes for Shadowrun and actually knows people who are in charge of Shadowrun, me 2 years ago would have flipped. I'm just just throwing it out there for what it's worth.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, and you've been a lot of fun to play with, and it's also just been cool to see you get super excited about this game that I designed.
Oh,
so.
Dude, Hellslayers is fantastic. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. Carry on with stories about Shadowrun, please.
Yeah, we were talking about Jason and how cool he is and friendly and stuff. So yes.
Well, in the writing vein, I was going to ask if you have any specific influences that pushed you along in your writing, or anything like that, or is this all just you as far as your writing goes, especially in Shadowrun?
My influences for writing in Shadowrun. Well, all the Shadowrun influences the Shadowrun.
Well, any specific writers or general artists that really spurred that along?
I mean, thinking back to some of the names that jump out at me from early Shadowrun books that I read the book and was like, this is really good. I like this. Stephen Kenson's one of the big ones. The Tom Dowd. There are so many more, but those are sort of the two big previous Shadowrun authors that I've really enjoyed a lot of their work. A lot of like 3rd edition era stuff in particular, I think.
What about any authors, not necessarily Shadowrun, but just broad spectrum across the board? Is it still kind of focused in that direction?
Yeah, I guess Cass K. I really loved her work. She created Karma in the Dark, which is a Forge in the Dark sort of Shadowrun themed Forge in the Dark game. That's how I got to know her a little bit. Created Rural Punk, which is another Forge in the Dark game that kind of focuses on weird stuff happening like out in the rural areas of a dystopian cyberpunk that's overrun with mutants and stuff. So not the cities. So the small community-focused things. I just really loved her approach to game design and the way theme was baked into it and the progression of it. And I think it also helped that her games were essentially my introduction to Forged in the Dark system, not Blades in the Dark. So I think that's part of it as well. But yeah, definitely got to think of Cass K as one of my influences. She kind of dropped off the radar, took down our websites and stuff, and exited the gaming industry right around the time of the pandemic. So
Oh,
I was kind of sad to see that. Hope she's doing well. But I haven't heard from her since. I got to actually play with her, and we did a stream of Europunk, which was a lot of fun. And I had her on the Ecology podcast to talk about Karma in the Dark as well. So yeah, that's definitely one of my influences. My friends, like my friend Opti in particular, find his ideas inspiring a lot. We sort of walked into this industry at about the same time together in different ways, to different degrees, but still founder of Fragging Unicorns. And I definitely he's my main source for refreshing my memory and reading up on Shadowrun, the lore, the history. Just the way the New Anarchist podcast approaches that and talks about it.
That's how you know that he has a real passion for it. Any writer that has that Cliff has listed off right now has been cyberpunk and gaming, and I am absolutely here for it. That's how you know that there's like a real passion in there for it.
Yeah, of course, I got to mention Robert Bowl, creator of Misspent Youth. Pretty obviously influenced me because I created a Misspent Youth book when I got the opportunity to use the license. So just a different, very different narrative approach to RPG design and play. And it's always a fun time to play Misspent Youth. Oddly enough, it's envisioned as a primarily like campaign-based one, but like I played a lot of one-shots with it, and it shines really well in that too.
Me and Bree were actually on one night where Rim GMs for our own personal campaign, and we ended up taking a night off of our Into the Abyss campaign to play a one-shot of Misspent Youth. And this is before I knew anybody else on the Rim team or anything like that. And I absolutely loved it. I think it was what was it? A food fight? It was initially like a food fight type situation.
Oh yeah, Food Fight is a famous introductory Shadowrun adventure, but I think the one you're referring to is the Neo Babylon setting where the very first scene takes place in the school cafeteria.
Yes.
Food Fight is definitely on the table.
Oh, I think we may have turned it into a food fight. It very quickly turned into one.
I've played through that adventure so many times, and yeah, the food fight doesn't happen every time, but it does come up sometimes.
Fair. Well, as far as Hellslayers go, or as far as Hellslayers goes, we talked about having, that initial passion for it, and that survival horror, science fiction type deal. Like, what kind of got you into that type of genre? Because it does seem like you're fairly heavily focused into that sci-fi, like really really cool, like just badass type system.
Yeah, I think earlier video games, like Doom, definitely something that I played back in the day. There just weren't very many different games to play, so it was definitely one that was just available to play, and had episodes you'd play through, and it was just fun. First-person shooters were like a new thing. Now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But so definitely that, but also building upon that more so, Half-Life, that video game was one of the first. I'm getting a weird echo. Is that coming through for everyone else?
Yeah, coming through Frank.
Say what now?
You got a little bit of an echo coming through you.
Shoot, hang on one sec.
So let's see if it's still okay. System Shock is another one. And back to Half-Life mentioning, that was one of the first ones that I noticed, like, yeah, this game has an actual story to play through as well. It's not just going from room to room fighting things. So that was a lot of fun. Definitely has that sort of sci-fi survival horror aspect
absolutely.
of it, where you're managing your bullets and your your health and your suit energy.
I
and just
recently
trying to survive.
I recently got Half-Life Alyx for VR,
I'm
and
jealous.
it it is insane. I'm not as into the lore. I think I kind of missed the bus on that one a little bit. Of course, well, whenever they put out the actual like system for the game,
Half-Life 2
Gary's
is so
mod.
good, but yeah.
Not to interrupt, still echoing? Testing?
Not getting the echo, and I'm talking at least.
Cool. Okay.
Should be good, I think. But
Okay,
yeah.
carry on. Half-Life.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so much time in between those games. I don't know with the resources that Valve must have with Steam and everything. Like, why is there no Half-Life 3?
They put out a third game.
To hire people to make the game that we all want. So
if they could release a Half-Life 3, 4, 5, whatever, for PS5, dude, I'd be all over it.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
they'd release a Half-Life 3 at all, lots of people would be all over it.
Yeah, for sure.
What are you talking about? Just go out, splurge, get yourself a VR headset.
Like,
I'm talking about that as if I didn't have to save up for quite some time to make that work.
Right? Like, I would love to get a VR headset. I'm pretty sure my wife would murder me.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but also the computer upgrades that would have to go along with it.
Right.
So not on the table for me, but yeah. So yeah, Half-Life definitely an influence. Also, another really big one is System Shock. I guess more specifically, the one I played a lot more, System Shock 2. Sort of a first-person shooter with some RPG development elements. Really atmospheric setting. Just a lot of fun to play through. I think to some lesser degree, Halo's probably influenced this a little bit, but this is definitely not the sort of this is definitely a different genre than Halo would be.
a little bit of the vibe.
Action hero fun and less getting slaughtered. I guess depending on how good you are at the game and what difficulty setting you're playing it. But anyway, so yeah, video games have been a huge influence in Hellslayers. On the survival horror element, but also a lot more recent video games that are nothing like Hellslayers have influenced Hellslayers in that there is that roguelike mechanic where you play through, you're probably expecting not to survive, but each time you start again to play through, you've got some sort of additional bonus or something that you're building up on based on what your previous playthroughs have done. So things like Dead Cells you mentioned. I think Slay the Spire is another good one.
Oh, absolutely.
There's lots of really great ones out there. There was one in particular where I forget the name of it, but you're running a store during the day. But then
Moonlighter.
Yeah, that one.
Think.
That one I played a fair bit. It seemed a lot of fun. FTL. There's a lot of recent games that I play that are nothing like Hellslayers, but have that mechanic where that cycle that you play through. Oh, Hades, that's another big one. I actually played
that was through. Time sink.
Yeah. So yeah, just a fun mechanic that lets you lean into the meat grinder aspect, but also keeps it fun.
And also a little bit of continuity, being able to get like bonuses that go past just dying.
Yeah, I really love games where you get to build upon something as part of the process. Playing through
Frank,
it.
Frank, sorry, we're getting that echo back.
All right, how about now?
I'll let Cliff keep on going.
I think I'd finished what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Clockwork 2 by mentioning Rogue Legacy. That's a fun one. I never got very far in that one.
I don't think I've ever played that one.
It's one of the first.
When did it come out? It may be just a little touch past my time. We have a full generation set up right here, I think, actually. Because I may not look it, but I think I'm one of the oldest Gen Zs, sadly. And I know that's sacrilegious to say, but... Oh, why is he here? But
with the gens, why did they start with X? By the way, I wonder. It's like there's a whole alphabet to go through, and we're already at the end.
The people didn't want to fit the norm. I'm fairly certain that they just didn't want to be known as like one of the in between, letters, unless it was like something cool like X.
Yeah,
or
I'm Gen X, which is not as cool as it sounds. I have no mutant powers.
I thought everybody who is Gen X wore sunglasses and trench coats all of the time and were just generally unhappy people and listened to lots of Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Is that true?
I've done a lot of trench coat wearing in my time. Sunglasses, it depends. Tend not to wear those indoors or when it's dark out. But
you mean you don't wear sunglasses at night?
I don't.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
That was actually the final test. That's how you know that you're cool.
Yeah. If you wear sunglasses at night,
Oh, okay, so it came out in 20. Oh, okay. I was into roguelites about then. 2013 for Rogue's Legacy. I feel like I should have been into it around that time. Although maybe, wait, when did Binding of Isaac come out? Because I may have
Similar
just been
era,
head deep.
I think. Yeah, one of the fun things about Rogue Legacy is you get all these sort of semi-random quirks to your characters that would affect the gameplay. Like some might be like flatulent, where like every time you jump, your character farts.
I'm sorry, what?
Other ones might be colorblind, where you're going to play through in black and white. There's one, I forget what it was, but basically like the vertical is flipped. So down is up and up is down. Or you have characters that have really poor eyesight, so everything outside of a small radius around you is blurry and it affected your gameplay in interesting ways.
I must have gotten my fix of that with Binding of Isaac, even though I know it's not like fully roguelike. But I mean, you still get to unlock it quite a bit that you get to hold on to, mainly characters.
But yeah, as far as my generation goes, my look was, besides the trench coat thing, it was like the t-shirt with the unbuttoned flannel over it.
There we go.
Oh, so you were
looks.
Cool.
Early on in high school, for the first couple of years, like everyone was cuffing their jeans. That has not continued. But that was a thing that we would all do.
No, it came back. It came back for a little while there. I think it's back on the down tilt, but I think it started off back ironic, and then it became like actually cool again.
An actual thing.
Mm-hmm. And the cool music I think of the time is like the earlier, well, not super early. I guess it's industrial stuff like Nine Inch Nails, Frontman Assembly.
All right.
Nirvana was cool. I listened to that some, but I was always more into the electronic music stuff. Like, generally speaking, like a thing I would say, music without a synthesizer in it is like vegetarian chili. It might be good, but it's definitely missing something. Since then, I've come to enjoy genres of music that don't feel like they're missing something, and I've also made some damn good vegetarian chili that doesn't feel like it's lacking at all. But,
I'm sorry, you say good and vegetarian chili in the same sentence?
Oh yeah, or like even vegan chili. Like I've gone on something of a vegan kick. I'm a part-time plant-based these days. Like I can't bring myself to like fully convert for all time, but I figured my my way of making it work so that I'm just eating healthier and in more aligned with my values more of the time, at least, or better, is to not be super strict about it. So I'll still have a steak sometimes, or a pizza, or whatever. But I just try to eat.
My breakfast most days is like a strawberry banana chili or strawberry
banana chili.
Gross.
Okay. Strawberry banana smoothie, like that's my thing. You know, it is easy and it's worthwhile. I get you.
Yeah, just trying to eat healthier.
Strawberry banana chili would be way better, obviously.
All of your food groups into one meal. I love it.
I kind of feel like you could incorporate strawberry and banana into chili and have it not be terrible, but
I've seen people do it with like.
I don't know.
No, that's with curry, like chocolate and curry.
Chocolate and chili, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, chocolate and chili would work fantastic. Yeah,
I'm just not a big chili guy.
Baking cocoa or some chocolate chunks into chili, whatever I make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the vegan side of things, like red lentils work really, really well. They cook faster and they've got a nice texture to them that's almost like ground beef.
I love that we've gone from Hellslayers
to... I was just thinking the same thing.
I'm really big into cooking, so if you get me started on that,
I have no complaints. I'm just saying, zero complaints on this side.
Yeah, cooking is one of my hobbies. Like not quite as important or up there as like role playing games or music, but it's definitely one of my major interests, though.
Dude, if I had the spoons, I'd go for it, but alas.
Yeah, for me, sometimes cooking is a spoon recovering activity.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, going back to Hellslayers, even though I do want to talk more about banana strawberry chili.
I should probably include a chili recipe in the final Hellslayers that also incorporates strawberry and banana.
I think that now I have a duty to try banana strawberry chili at least.
The thing is, I don't think it would work well if it's heavily featuring the strawberry banana, but like
just a little bit.
I think you just sneak it in there, and it won't have
to kind of give it that touch of sweetness.
I'm sorry, Tyler. Trent was trying to steer us back towards Hellslayers away from chili.
Yeah.
No, you're all good. I was just gonna, maybe we can keep on talking about it, but I was going to ask, kind of the top of the stream kind of question. Why is it named? Even though I can probably extrapolate, is there anything specific that you're tying back to with the name Hellslayers?
Good question.
Well, I guess Slayer sort of works as several levels, referencing things like there's the main character in Doom, who was originally Doom Guy, but in the more recent versions he's referred to as the Doom Slayer.
Really?
There's a heavy metal band that is pretty famous and definitely had some influence on the original soundtrack of the Doom video game. The band is called Slayer, and the S in Hellslayers is sort of a callback to the way the S is in the band Slayers logo.
I thought I recognized something in there.
It's not like a direct copy, but
this influence goes so much deeper than I thought it did. Goodness.
But other than that, mostly it sounds cool. The original, my working title for the game for the first couple of years that I knew I wasn't going to use because it's just dumb and awful is Doom of Mars. But granted, it's a crappy name for a game, and it's too referential to one of the influences. But also, it sort of tells you what to expect. It's Doom of Mars.
Doom of Mars isn't bad per se. It's just that it's too much of a mouthful for
it. Was always meant to be a placeholder title, so
that makes sense.
And I think Hellslayers just has a good feel and sound to it. It tells you what you're doing.
No, it's definitely referential without it being exactly on the nose. Like people, I get what you mean. People know exactly what to expect. but
And nobody's
without
using
spelling
it?
it out.
I think there's an esports team for some game that are called the Hellslayers, but it's different enough that I don't think we need to worry about any trademark issues.
Wait, you're not starting an esports team?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would love it.
Anyways,
I would-
there goes the rest of my questions.
At my best in Overwatch, I got to be the point where might describe myself as barely able to hold my own sometimes.
I feel
I
that
don't even play Overwatch, so you know.
I haven't since like Overwatch 2 launched because they made it so that it replaced the original game and changed a lot of stuff, and
Yeah, it's too much.
and Blizzard just ick. They've been ick lately.
Yeah,
Maybe they always have been, but at least I've been aware of it more. But anyway,
there's a lot of stuff that's been coming out recently that's just kind of, It's always been a family activity for me and mine. My mother-in-law actually lives nearby. That's one of the reasons my wife and I moved to where we did. And it's always been kind of a family get-together and the whole family plays Diablo for like 6 hours. It's been a fun thing. And then all this news about Blizzard started coming out, and it's just been feeling ickier and ickier, just kind of like,
especially with the whole PvE give and take back.
More some of the more
Or story mode.
We
Specifically
play
with
more
Overwatch.
I haven't played Overwatch.
yeah, Overwatch is supposed to have like a PvE story mode thing. It's supposed to be. It was promised. And
With
not
the
delivered.
second one.
Didn't they scrap that, if I remember right?
I think so, yeah. But it was promised and ultimately scrapped, I think. I don't know. Maybe they'll. I haven't followed it closely enough to speak about it as any authority. So.
Well, it was definitely enough to get a nice outrage from all of them.
It was frustrating because it would have been fun to do some like PvE stuff, PvE co-op stuff.
Oh yeah, that Halloween event, that PvE Halloween event from so long ago. I haven't played it since probably about a year after it came out.
You know what I want? More StarCraft.
More what?
More StarCraft.
I played the original. I didn't actually play StarCraft 2 ever.
It's different, but it's fun. Yeah. But I want StarCraft 3. I want more Jim Raynor. Come on.
I haven't actually played too many RTSs in recent years. It used to be a genre I played a lot more of, but.
Okay, so that leads to the question. Gaming. Video games, gaming in general. What do you lean towards? What do you do in your off time?
One of my favorite games, probably of all time, that I have an embarrassing amount of hours playing, is Space Engineers.
Space Engineers.
That does ring a bell.
It is so cool, but only it's also like so it's a sandbox survival crafting game where you can build spaceships and space stations and things. You collect resources, mine ore, refine it, build components, and essentially block by block, you can design and build ships, stations, ground vehicles, drones, all sorts of stuff from their core components. So like you decide how many engines they're going to have and which type and where they're going to be placed. And
this sounds similar to... Oh my god, why am I looking the name? No Man's Sky.
Okay, No Man's Sky is more about playing and exploring. There is some building aspects, but like you can't make your own spaceship from individual components in No Man's Sky like you can in Space Engineers. So Space Engineers is very sandboxy. It's like a physics engine simulator as well. I won't go so far as to say it's terribly realistic. I kind of think it's like Space Engineers is to actual aerospace design and space science stuff as Guitar Hero is to actually playing guitar. It's going to give you the feel like you're doing it, and some thematic elements that sort of feel like it, but it's way simpler.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, I like kind of sandboxy games, like survival crafty ones. Project Zomboid's another big one. It's a very hardcore zombie survival
I
game
played.
that's so good.
Have you ever tried out Satisfactory?
I have not.
It is phenomenal. It's got like a little bit of combat sprinkled in here and there, but that's usually just to like acquire different resources that you need to level up your base, and like a whole conveyor belt system. You can build everything from the ground up. It is amazing. You can make a space elevator. It's insane.
Someone's done that in Space Engineers too. It's pretty cool.
They do seem very similar.
Let's see. As far as other games go, I like turn-based tactical ones, like XCOM 2. I've been playing a lot of Phoenix Point lately, which took me a while to get around to starting, but I've been really enjoying. Actually checked out reviews of it recently, and apparently it hasn't gone over super well. But man, I've been really thoroughly enjoying that game. Starfield is something that I wanted to play, but my computer won't run it, and I don't have a recent Xbox that will run it. My wife's computer, we recently upgraded her graphics card to something much better, and she can play Starfield on her computer, though it does still get choppy sometimes during the space combat. So hopefully that gets a little bit better optimized in the future. But yeah, I would love to play Starfield. I was definitely looking forward to it. But sandboxy sci-fi stuff is.
No, I'm 100% right there with you.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Anything where I can build my own base and actually customize it is always going to be my favorite. Not one of those pre-built ones where it's like, oh, well, here's your camp, I guess, have fun, and it's just an empty room, something like that. I can't stand those. Well,
7 Days to Die, that's another one I've played a lot. Like,
yeah, I've wasted so much time with one of my buddies in that game.
So another one of those games I don't want Steam to tell me how many hours I played. Just I don't need to know that information.
We are actually starting a petition right now. It's called it's just called See No Evil, Hear No Evil, or just See No Evil. It's where they just take away all of the hour counters. Once they hit 250 hours, they're just gone.
Yeah, I think some people probably like those as like a badge of honor, though, and would not like to see them go. I think having the option to like participate or opt out is what I would want.
See No Evil mode, which could also, maybe be another mode in Hellslayers. It sounds applicable. But also, I think this is really the last question that I really got for you. I mean, of course, this is going to keep on going, and we can just keep track of the campaign, which is currently just under $2,000. Nice. But Cliff, as a creator, what excites you the most about Hellslayers, and what do you hope players take away from the experience?
Angie.
Yeah, I guess what I hope people will take away from it is that it's just good, fun game to throw down some dice and play and have fun without worrying too much about lots of extra details. You can just get in and play, and it's sort of a skip to the good stuff kind of game. There's some lore and setting stuff that informs the world to some degree, but it's just really most about just getting in and playing with your friends, killing monsters, finding loot, completing the mission, trying not to die, making new characters. One of the things I'm most excited about Hellslayers is one of the game mechanics, painful success. Because as far as I know, that's unique as a game mechanic in role-playing games. Like, there are definitely instances of other role-playing games where you can influence the dice roll or your luck or adjust your success level or something, but I have never seen a role-playing game that had a mechanic that gives the players agency over the dice rolls to where they can say, I'm going to succeed even though the dice roll failed, but at a cost.
I've seen things like, for example, there is a role-playing game created by a very large company that I shall not name. And that role-playing game has things like feats, where characters can give pluses to their dice rolls or get re-rolls or things like that. But I've never seen before where you can just say, "Hey, that roll, I didn't like it. I'm gonna make that a success. What does it cost me?" So that part's really cool.
And I also dig how thematically it fits so well with the sort of playing a first-person shooter sci-fi game feel. Because in like a game like Half-Life, your bullets are sort of like your health to some degree. Like you can use your bullets instead of taking damage, maybe, if you can hit things before you do. But using up those bullets then is going to reduce your survivability down the road, though, if you don't find more. So, yeah, having that painful success mechanic built into, like, do you want to just miss your shot or waste extra bullets to hit anyway? That decision is the decision that you make while you're playing the sort of limited resources first-person shooter type or survival horror type games.
No, absolutely. And it's not just, oh, I only want the goodness out of this. Like, a little bit of what Frank said, but also from like inspiration points or something. Like, sure, like getting something good from good role play or something like that is always really nice. Like being rewarded for doing a good thing. But
Advance points are they are also a unique mechanic. Yeah.
But being able to in that moment be able to sacrifice is just to me incredible. I love it so much.
Yeah, it works really well thematically. And you just one of the drawbacks of like a lot of other role playing games, for example, D&D, where you've got your turn where you're going to make an attack, right? And you make your attack roll and you miss. That is like the most unsatisfying outcome ever. Like, I would almost rather fail and take damage than just do an action that means nothing. And having some ability to have some more player agency over those dice rolls, but still have the dice rolls matter and affect the game. It's like I think it's a good approach. So yeah,
it definitely stands to make.
How it's going? We're almost at 2K, sitting at 1901 with 35 backers.
That for the first couple hours, sir.
Yeah, doing pretty good. I'm a little bit spoiled by Subversion, where we hit our goal like in the first half hour or so. So part of me's going like, "Oh no, we haven't hit the goal yet." It's been, a couple hours now, but like also
of the next month.
Yeah. There's definitely more time involved. This game is not going to hit the kind of numbers Subversion did.
It's a real pity because this is an incredible game. I mean, and maybe I'm spoiled. I like this sort of thing. There's nothing about Hellslayers that I don't like. I mean, it's science fiction, a little bit of cyberpunk, a little bit of horror, a lot of sci-fi. I love all of those flavors that are kind of weaved into it, and I love that just pick up and go. I love that this is honestly the first game that I've ever felt comfortable GMing, just because I don't have to do a ton of work beforehand. It's just, here players have some enemies, flat, and the Morkborg influence makes it so easy with the zones and minimizing combat and minimizing crunch, and It's such an easy game to GM, and it's such a fun game flavor-wise to play. So yeah, there's nothing about this I don't like.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it's the statement wasn't any sort of dig on Hellslayers. It's just a matter of like we have not spent money marketing this game.
That's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, it's all been just essentially trying to do word of mouth, leveraging my contacts and people that I know, and well, I guess contacts are people that I know, so it's a little redundant, but whatever.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, essentially just trying to do it, make it happen
Organic.
on a shoestring, I guess. Just
I think you're doing all right for a shoestring, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I'm really hoping we hit our goal within our first 24 hours, because I feel like that's a good benchmark of how well a Kickstarter campaign is going to do. But yeah, I still feel, even if we don't hit that, I think we have a good start and plenty of time for those numbers to go up. I think not super. I don't think it's super likely we're going to max out our stretch goals. Like, I think the Discord bot at 20K, that's going to be, I think, a little unlikely. I don't think we're likely to hit those numbers, but
That
I hope
almost
we do,
sounds like
and
a
it's
challenge.
not impossible. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. How's it going with the Kickstarter? It feels pretty good. Would feel so much better if that number was over the initial goal and we're heading towards stretch goals, of course. But we'll get there.
For not spending anything on marketing, that it is still incredible that we're almost halfway there after just a couple of hours.
Yeah, you're not doing bad, man. You're not doing bad at all.
Oh yeah, and I've got to
really
definitely
shows.
thank the hard work of Ava and Bree and you all here, Rem Alternus, because that's really like working with them and them being willing to work with me when I'm like, I have no money to put towards this to advertise. And yeah, working with that and getting it going. I know they would much rather be working with a Kickstarter campaign where the person involved can say, yes, I can do an advertising budget of X number of $1,000, because those definitely go farther and make more money. So definitely appreciate the work that the Rem Alternus crew has put into this and the faith they put in me. And I hope this lives up to it.
Oh, I'm sure it will. This is a badass game, dude.
Oh, thank you. That's I guess that's another one of the design goals of Hellslayers. It's just badass, right? That's
yeah.
That's something that's kind of unique to Hellslayers. Is that it does not take from Morkborg. There is nothing badass about your characters in Morkborg. You are scum of the earth, absolute slime and filth. Who designed to, as a player, will not be sorry to see the end of them.
One of the things I've been happiest about, actually, to derail a little bit, one of the things I've been most pleased about in my campaigns is that I'm taking these people who, in real life, just IRL, these people have their own problems, their own troubles, their own, they're stressed out about work, they're stressed out about life, like stuff is happening to them. They're not superheroes by any stretch of the imagination, right? And then you say, okay, look, I've got this game called Hellslayers. You are the worst of the worst. You are criminals, you are horrible people, or you're just crazy enough to volunteer for this super elite combat crew. These people make the Navy SEALs look like teddy bears. These people are the most badass people ever to exist. And because they're sent into suicide missions, normally they're recruited, quote unquote, from prisons, penal colonies, etc. Or, maybe you're just crazy enough to want to be one of the best of the best.
Or maybe they just got too far behind on their phone bill.
And and now I have these players who built these really deep backstories. They're doing this thing about how they got in. And then they start playing, and all of a sudden these players who started as just kind of like, quiet, like, maybe, I guess, I'll give it a shot, are just, I've got one guy who is, he's RPing that he's part of the prison, the space Nazi prison breakout. He is role playing that he ripped a mustache off one of the space Nazis, and he's wearing it plastered to his helmet. And one of their side missions was to assassinate the commanders of the space Nazi prison. And so he's got the commander's skulls on his belt. And I'm just like, you took this so much farther than I ever intended. You know? And then it's like my other player who's using an alien arm as their melee weapon. It's like, these people feel badass. The players feel like they can do anything. And that's kind of the coolest part to me.
I love that type of flexibility in a game, where I mean, of course it kind of does come down to how stick to the rules the GM is, but where it feels like this game with like, of course players can put weight on dying 100%, but if it doesn't feel as bad because you're going to come back and you're gonna come back more badass. And it's because of that, I feel like that's a good way to make it more flexible, because there isn't as much weight. If I turn my character into a joke in D&D, I'm stuck with that character for years. And for Hellslayers, if you make a little joke here and there, it feels like, unless you just happen to be extraordinarily phenomenal at playing joke characters in Hellslayers, which
I have one character in one of my campaigns who's running a joke character. He's running a medic, and his thing is he collects alien body parts and puts them in a bag. And that's his whole shtick. And it's just like, all right, I guess.
Well, like, if that person dies, then it's not as big of a deal for them to pick up a new character and continue it if he really wants to.
Exactly. Yeah. He can make a whole different character who's actually like a real complicated, in-depth character, but it's not going to hurt him. It's not going to put hours and hours of work to waste if this character dies,
Yeah, generally speaking, you can put as much effort and attention into a backstory for your Hellslayer as you want to, but this is definitely a backstory optional RPG.
Yeah, very much so.
Actually, in naming your character is optional RPG. Like, you just go by your MOS designation.
No, I feel like
maybe give them a handle after they get through their first mission.
As I recall, my character's name was literally Grunt, and wasn't one of our characters' names what was it? Medic. What was his Kit? What was his name? Kit? It was
Lieutenant Kit.
Lieutenant Kit, yeah, for medical kit.
Captain Leech. That's sort of his default character name he uses a lot, and I think Tech was our engineer.
Right. It's just like you really don't have to go into it.
Though I did come up with the D66 chart of handles for Hellslayers.
Really?
That I will be including in the final version of the book. Yep.
I was going to say, as I recall, I didn't see that in the book. That's really cool.
It's not in there. It's just a document file I have laying around here somewhere. So let me pull it up. Let's roll up some Hellslayer handles. Let's see here.
Do it.
Yep, here we go. Hellslayers handles, D66 chart. Okay. Who's got some dice? Somebody else roll this. Somebody in the chat, give us the D66 roll.
There we go. Somebody in the chat.
And be honest.
If you don't know what D66 means, it's like rolling percentile, except you roll with two 6-siders. One's a tens column, one's a six column, or one's column, I mean. So.
I like the 6 column better.
The 6 column, yes. Using hex math or something. I don't know. But yeah, I came up with some fun ones and some sort of use some iconic ones, but also a couple of the silly ones. All right, Clockwork Tuber rolled 61. That is Vandal. V-A-N-D-A-L. Vandal. They're kind of in alphabetical order. So, like, the lower numbers are closer to A, the higher numbers are closer to Z.
Here, I feel like it should be almost necessary to name your characters. I'm a big person who, like, especially because it is so quick to have to part with your characters in this game, I feel like it should only be necessary to name every single one of them so you really feel it.
Boy, you're a cruel GM, aren't you?
No, not a GM. I just got really too into Pokemon, and then played Nuzlocke.
All right. Killian Wargear says they got 20. A 20 and a 0. I don't know how you roll those numbers on D66. There's no zeros on D66.
They roll a D20, maybe?
Which, if they did that back to back, is incredible.
Yeah. No joke.
Someone's out here.
You know what I think we needed? It should be a double thing where you roll 2 D66, so it's like Vandal Scrape or something, and that's your character name.
I suppose you could do that.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, there's no real anything deep about the table. It would just be a table that would be there in the book somewhere, probably in the inside cover or something.
I love it.
That's one of the things that's definitely part of the Morkborg aesthetic, is just like tossing in some random tables here and there. Like,
Sure.
There's a table for like what random trash you find in the dead body's pockets. None of it being actually useful material, just, just a flavor text table.
Love that.
Well, I feel like having the names for it would definitely help somebody build a character around them. Because if you had, because there's definitely a difference between like Simon and Butch or whatever the equivalents to that would be in Hellslayers.
All right, Clockwork Tuber rolled for a last name for Vandal, and 55 is Tarot. So, Vandal Tarot.
There we go. I like that. See, that's good. That's like, I can see like maybe a Zen sort of grunt, like some sort of grunt who was like a psycho monk or something, maybe a monk gone bad kind of guy. Like, I can see it.
Sorry,
that's actually just my Baldur's Gate 3 character right now.
Just a monk gone bad.
Yeah.
So Killian rolled percentile, which is similar to D66 roll. They got a 20 and a 0, I guess. So
okay,
I'm just going to approximate those. 20 is about a fifth of the way through. So here we go. I'm going to pick one that's about a fifth of the way through, and then the 0 will be the 1-1 result. So we have Fiend and Angel. So if we're going to do this first and last name, it would be Fiend Angel. That's a pretty cool one. Yeah, these names work okay in funky combinations.
I can see that being like Fiend Angel would be like either a medic or a scout. Because the scout with the sniper rifle just
being an absolute fiend.
Medic or, yeah.
That could really work for any of them, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the other sillier ones I put on here is YOLO.
I like that one.
Especially with how absolutely wrong that is.
Cool.
YOLO Panda.
So yeah, I'll make sure to toss this chart on the final version of the book.
That's awesome. I love it.
That is amazing. We are getting down to the last little bit, I believe. Or at least I think we are, right, Frank?
I got like 25 minutes left I can kill.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we can start wrapping up, winding down. I think we're not going to do an all-day stream or anything. I think top of the next hour is probably the
If you
latest
guys
we'll go.
do an all-day stream, like I don't mind spending my lunch break on this. Like I totally can. I just can't.
Well,
I've got other things I have to do today.
fair.
No.
Well, doing another one, we should definitely. I know that he's busy at the moment. We should definitely try to get Opti in if we end up doing maybe
Probably another
mid.
day, I think.
Hmm?
I don't think we'll plan a second stream today.
Oh no, that's fair. That's fair. But maybe like mid or late campaign, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely have like a stream to end things. Yeah, I think something toward the middle as well.
If you ever decide you want to do another live play, sir, I'm just saying.
It's definitely not off the table. Are you gonna show up this time?
I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I'm never gonna live that down.
Yeah, I have to give you some degree of crap about it.
I will absolutely show up. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
We've been like minorly hinting at it this entire time. Be like, oh, only 2 people. Yeah, no, they died a lot.
I'm sorry. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. So, just so everyone knows, I was planning on attending everything, but I misunderstood. And I thought it was just today, not the live play too, because during the live play, I was literally flying across the country. I live on the West Coast, and I was flying to a wedding on the East Coast, and I was on an airplane during the live play.
He's just saying that he has a bunch of excuses, and he didn't want to play with them.
I know. It's so sad. I mean, to be fair, the wedding had fire dancers, and come on, fire dancers.
Okay, never mind.
That's pretty cool.
Also, Killian said that they have a question.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
they're raising their hand, so I felt kind of bad if I didn't.
It's not a
bring it up.
classroom, so you don't have to raise your hand. And Clockwork Tuba, you left us to die, Frank. Our blood is on your hands. Yeah. Clockwork, you didn't hear like the setup chat before we actually like went live with the stream. As I told Frank, you are directly responsible for the deaths of so many Hellslayers. If you would have been there, maybe less would have died. I don't know.
And that's not even counting the ones in my campaigns.
Right?
Ooh, okay. Okay, so they got a pledge question.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna leave this fully up to Cliff. Make a monster only for $250, or do the game with friends and create a faction too. Well, one of those are limited, or both of those are limited.
Yeah. So create a faction is the $1,000 one. Make a monster is $250. So it's actually asking, I think, or they're asking, do like the higher reward tier ones, do those stack with some of the ones below? So if you do like the $1,000 make a faction, do I also get to game with friends and make a monster at lower tiers? And I'll have to think about that. As it's laid out now, each one is a distinct reward, and the only thing that carries upward is the PDF and the hardcover copies of the game. So at the $20 level, you get the PDF, and that will tag along with like every reward level. You also get a PDF. If you back at the $40 level, you also get a hardcover copy of the book, and at each of the higher level tiers you pick that are above that, those include getting a hardcover of the book.
I was actually kind of wondering something about that myself too, because I'm looking at this bundle of 5, and there's a very, very slim, although it is there, slim possibility I might go for a bundle of 5 if I can talk my friends into it. But then I'm looking at bundle of 5, but then there's Game Night Creators Edition too, and I'm like, ooh.
So yeah, the Game Night with Friends at $500 does not include the Build a Monster at $250. Those are two separate ones. If you're doing the $1,000 Ultimate Faction Builders bundle, I'll get you into a game somehow, but officially it's not like mixed with other rewards other than getting the books. So,
I mean, creating an entire faction is pretty hardcore.
yeah, whenever you do a Kickstarter, you always got to put these like occasional like super high goals just to see if anyone happens to have a lot of money they're willing to throw at you. You got to give them an excuse to do that. So you just got to come up with some sort of cool thing that they can do to influence the game or put their stamp on it.
Yeah,
I think adding a whole enemy faction to the game is a good one for that.
That's kind of a big deal. That's pretty huge.
That can make some major changes because
Yeah.
like, of course, you're going to be working with Cliff, but ultimately the decision is kind of up to you. You can shape this world.
No, to be clear, it's also up to me.
No.
I'm not just going to be like, hey, send me
to...
whatever text you want and I'll stick it at the book. It'll be more like, let's work together to design this. So.
No, well, they'll have direction, whereas the rest of it has been completely you. It'll be their mark absolutely left in Hellslayers.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's only 2 of those available, so I can't put too much into this book before it starts getting too heavy and expensive to print. But,
oh my god, that's
but after 2 more factions on top of the rogue AI, which will hopefully hit in a stretch goal.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
So, yeah,
make it an add-on.
A lot of different options for things you might fight in the game.
I want gremlins to be a faction.
I think something I might possibly look at down the road if Hellslayers does well is another book that widens the scope of it outside of just being Hellslayers.
It's like an expansion kind of thing.
Yeah, or maybe you're like a crew that's managing a ship, or.
I mean, you kind of already have the framework for that in there, so that's really good. Like. One of the, what were they called? Generation ships? Was that it? Like that's the ships floating around, or colony ships, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, there's the colony ships and the city ships, and there's other ships too.
Yeah.
The city ships are specifically a thing of the space fascists.
It was like a nation. What was it? The ship that we invaded in our campaign that we stepped into, and our job was to rescue the colonists.
Yeah, that was the space fascist ship. What was that one called? I gave it a name. They weren't necessarily space Nazis. They wore red caps.
I just remember...
Were very patriotic.
That's right. I remember that. You're right. I just remember saving most of the colonists. Most.
Yeah, we can go with most.
And the others were definitely not our fault.
I mean, that's really just a matter of perspective. Pretty sure the ones that you guys, included in rocket blasts, an argument can be made that could be someone's fault.
That was definitely the fault of the individuals who would not move so we could get the rockets to hit only them. Definitely their fault. Definitely not ours.
I mean, ultimately, it's the fault of the space fascists who, put the conscripts in harm's way to begin with.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, it seems like we're winding down here. But yeah, I think the add-on as far as the book goes. Killian's asking how would one go about backing more than once?
I was just now trying to figure that out.
That is a very good question.
So in the pledge manager, what could happen is an add-on pledge level where of course you would be getting both of those pledge levels, or 2 different accounts like Rim said.
Yeah, 2 different accounts might be one way to do it. If that way you could lock down the limited run things.
If I remember can't you use the pledge manager to manually add an amount and then just put a note under the amount you add to
Sure.
say, hey, I'm adding this amount for X?
Yeah,
right?
I thought of that, but also it doesn't let you essentially grab and lock down a limited reward. That's another thing. You can only pick one reward per pledge.
Yeah.
So two accounts is the answer.
Yeah, I guess Killian, reach out to me through Discord. I think we're Discord friends, or at least share some servers. We'll work something out. I think this is a little bit outside of the scope of the way Kickstarter's engine is built, but we can make something work. So, that said, I do have an early access PDF here. I think I'll be releasing that at some point for people in general to check out. But if anyone wants to plan on doing like a stream or specifically do some playtesting and feedback, feel free to reach out to me to check that out. But I think what I'll also do is pledge to, if we hit as soon as we hit our initial goal, I will make the early access PDF available to the general public.
Keeping in mind, of course, I just want to throw it out there, Cliff, the early access PDF is not a representation of the final game. It's just the form it's in right now before you make any final changes, editing, etc., blah, 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 blah. Right?
Yeah, there's a disclaimer at the front of the document. So
okay.
That's all
I just wanted to make sure we were covering, like, this is, yeah.
That said, I think the game is pretty much mostly done. I don't think there's a lot of rules tweaks that need to be made. I think there's some aspects of it that can be fleshed out, and I'm sure there's some things that could be polished a bit yet to this point. But as far as the state of Hellslayers, it is it's basically done. So
it's playable in its current form. It's playable and it's fun, I think is the key part. I'm sure there are things that you could do to it to make it more fun. I'm sure there are things you could add to it to make it more shiny. But as it is, it's playable and it's fun. What more can you ask, right?
Well, more art, which everybody start loading it up so that we can get an artist on the job making, like real works of art. Support artists.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually probably the main reason I'm bringing this to a Kickstarter campaign instead of just publishing it on my own, putting it up on Drive-Thru-RPG for people to buy and download. Is I would like to have an art budget. And at the $5,000 tier, that basically covers all the work that's involved in getting this out there. In order to build up an art budget, that's going to take a little bit more. So yeah, I'm hoping we hit some of our stretch goals. The better we do, the more I'll be able to get art made and do other cool things. And it also helps out Fragging Unicorns in general as a company, because essentially behind the scenes numbers, above and beyond, once all expenses are paid, 25% of the profits of the game are going to go just to Fragging Unicorns games. So that'll be for paying authors and artists and making other games and things happen.
Cool.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, if we are right about at the end, which it seems so, then we can go ahead and wrap it up here. Is there any final thoughts just on Hellslayers in general, the campaign?
Get Hellslayers.
Hashtag give clock psychic or whatever it is.
Yeah, just in general, thank you very much to the people involved in helping make this happen. I am the creator of the game, but I wouldn't be here with the Kickstarter without the help of Rem Alternus, people like Ava and Bree, who's in the background, probably listening, and yeah.
Wait, that's Rem Alternus, Bree?
And the what's that?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and then the people who played the game with me and helped me spread the word about it.
Right.
have enjoyed it and given me feedback on it. It's just really cool to make a thing and see people enjoying playing it.
For sure.
It's a good feeling. So we've done that so far, but boy, also trying to make a living as a game designer and author is not easy.
That's got to be difficult, man.
So yeah, I would like to hopefully see this do well, so I can have money for things.
Would be nice, right?
Yeah, almost like any reasonable expectation of the game being made isn't actually a huge amount of money per hour involved in making it happen. So it's really more like a labor of love, doing things we want to do, creating art, and yeah, just making games for people to play. It's really fun and rewarding in its own right. So yeah, I hope it does. I'm rambling now. So
No,
I
no,
should
you're
probably
fine. You're fine. I get
It's
it
actually kind of
100%.
cool to hear, honestly, as somebody who I am one of those. I mean, personally, I'm one of those folks who's always been like, wouldn't it be nice just to do something creative for a living? And then I look at myself and I laugh because I could never pull it. There's not a chance and not a snowball's chance I would be able to do that. So
I think it's possible, more possible than people believe to do something like that, but also harder than you would expect.
I am extremely impressed by and extremely in awe of people who do pull it off. So,
I think I forget who the original quote goes to, but I think I'll more or less reprise the thought that I can basically do this because I can't see myself doing anything else. Like, I'm just driven to make and create role-playing games and other art and stuff like that. This is what I want to be doing, and I'm determined to make it work one way or another as best I can. And it's definitely, financially speaking, it's a struggle. It's not a wise career choice from that perspective. But
Prove him wrong.
It's also fulfilling in a lot of ways that go beyond income.
Sure, yeah, makes sense.
Absolutely. Fair. And Frank, any last words from you?
Play Hellslayers. I mean, I've talked a lot during this stream, and I mean, really, that's what it comes down to is, I mean, play Hellslayers, get the Kickstarter, do the whole 9 yards, because this is like I said, I've never GM'd a game before, and I've put together 2 campaigns that I'm currently running back to back, and it's so easy. And it's so much fun just to throw my players into this post-apocalyptic universe of just aliens and monsters and space Nazis and just all this horrible stuff they just want to murder and say, all right, guys, here's some guns, here's some explosives, here's some chainsaws, go at it.
I wouldn't even say post-apocalyptic. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that. It is apocalyptic.
The apocalypse is in progress.
Yeah, it's just, and then, and moreover, beyond the fun of just watching my players just really carve their enemies to meat. I mean, like, beyond that fun, there's also the fun of knowing that I'm going to be throwing those dice rolls at them at the end of every session, like, okay, what's going to happen to the Earth now? What's going to happen now? How long is the Earth going to live? It's like there's also that fun that it's just like, this is just a fun game in every sense. It's a very, Damocles' sword is hanging over the entire human race, and it's up to this tiny squad of Hellslayers to do what they can to save as many people as they can before everything goes to hell, literally. So yeah, I'm really excited. I love this game. I love it so much. And I'm really excited. Like for my campaign, these 2 campaigns I'm running back to back. I fully intend to bring all 8 of these players together in at least one Discord channel at some point or another, just to kind of have a final, final blast. So yeah, I really this is a great game. It's
It'd be
so
cool if we
easy.
could sync them up so that they're both going at the same epilogue mission.
Yeah, exactly. So
Hey,
it's
Kieran. Some popped in chat. I think
easy to GM. It's easier to play. This game is a ton of fun. And it lends itself so well to such a variety of flavors. You can play serious, you can play, all right, my character's a hardcore Marine. He's gonna do the right thing, no matter the cost. Or you can just play like a goofy, Lieutenant Kit. I'm Lieutenant Kit. I know how to be a doctor. It's just like,
Just rub some dirt in it. Yeah.
right, exactly. It's so much fun. By the way, I loved Lieutenant Kit. Max. So yeah, it's just like this is just a fun game. It's fun, it's flexible, it's easy to play, it's easy to run. So yeah, that's my whole spiel on it.
Well, fair. And thank you both for having this time for the launch stream. I absolutely love it. And thank you all for joining us in this journey into the depths of Hellslayers and its creator, Cliff. We hope this interview shed some light on the horrors that await in this chilling RPG. The Kickstarter campaign is live, and you can be a part of making Hellslayers a reality. Back the project, choose your rewards, and prepare to face the unknown. Also, don't forget to share with friends and family so that they can become a Hellslayer too. And a big thank you to Cliff for joining us and sharing his passion for tabletop gaming. Stay tuned for more updates about the Hellslayers Kickstarter campaign by backing the project and following Fragging Unicorns Games on Facebook, which both links in the chat. But all right.
Yeah, someone put us over 2K for
to
close things out. So thank you to whoever did that.
Fantastic. Well, all right. We hope to see those numbers go up. And I think we're gone, everybody. Bye-bye.